gonna move my phone as far away.
And while Pluggo moves his phone as far away as possible, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand spanking new edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, and it is a weekend edition. Now, usually when we do this over the weekend, when we all congregate around our view screens to watch the Mr. Warren Hayes Show or whatever, it typically means that there's something special on the horizon. It's not just another week of humdrum wrestling talk. No, sir. No, ma'am. This week, today, we are talking about AEW Revolution 2022. It's the big AEW pay-per-view that's coming up in a week from now. At the moment that we're recording this on Sunday, February 27. So from 1 week from today, we're getting the big pay-per-view extravaganza, and we are going to be breaking it down. We are going to be breaking it down. We are going to be smashing it up. We are going to be curb stomping it to the floor. Like, all of it. And when I say we, I mean myself, of course, but I'm not like on a third-person rant here. I am joined here today by two guys who I legitimately love. That I think they are fantastic dudes. The hosts of Between Two Beers over beers. See, there. Good night, everyone.
Be an offshoot.
Goodbye.
Be an offshoot.
It could be your late night thing, if you wanted.
Yeah.
The hosts of Between Two Beards over on the Love Wrestling Network. Got Pluggo. We've got Joe Poonline Jr. Guys, welcome to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. It's nice to see you.
Yes, thank you for having us. First off, I want to apologize. Pluggo can never do an intro to anything correct.
No.
So I know he was talking about his phone as we came on air. So I will apologize for him. Usually he just leaves. Usually he just leaves. If you ever watch Beards, half the time the show starts and he just disappears off the face of the earth.
Oh, no,
so
it's fine.
At least he's still here, I
mean, it's a completely understandable mistake, right? Because, I was legitimately saying, okay, here we go. Right? But no, that's fine.
Listen, I am used to a countdown where I have to have numbers.
We got baby steps. We got to do delicate things with Pluggo so we know
all the money that Spencer has given you to be on our show, and you can't get a countdown clock. Warren, come on.
Look, I'm trying to invest it, in like stuff like food, electric bill,
lights.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm literally just here hoping we'll get a 53rd nice thing about Goldberg.
Look,
or you can get it done early.
I could just get them all out of the way in one sitting. Yeah, I don't think my soul could take it at some point.
I was told
there's
was
a
the
reason
Goldberg
why I'm weaning
episode.
myself in and doing one per week. Because otherwise, I think I just
But in all seriousness, we are super excited to be here. I do apologize for the phone thing. I thought I had another second because I didn't want to just disappear on you, Warren. Like, it's okay on Thursdays on our show, but not here. Not the big leagues.
No. You have to stay. We're going the distance here today.
Absolutely. That's right.
So you guys host Between Two Beards, and as our boy Ben Phantom Mark 82 in the chat says, there's 3 levels of beard growth on this panel here, as you can tell. It's like the I wish I had a beard type of situation here, and you had Pluggo with the clean cut, very wintry thing, and then Joe who's just like I live out in the cabins look, which is.
I actually had to. I trimmed mine up because it was getting too. My beard does a thing where it whooshes out at the sides, and especially when you have the mask on, it just doesn't. So I trimmed it down.
Good for you.
And then I had.
I can't grow one. I think have we had this discussion before?
I think we've talked about it when you popped into our shows. Yeah, you had said.
I just can't. It's the sides here that are very, very.
I always say I don't beard shame.
Patchy? Would you consider them patchy?
Light, very light. Very light. Yeah. And then the gray's starting to settle in. And so
the gray's nice though, isn't it? Like
the gray, no. I don't mind the gray. You look. Your beard is fantastic, Joe. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like it's starting to look a little patchier, but it's because of the
because of the light,
the gray. Anyway.
I saw a few gray hairs throughout mine the other day, and was like, "Is this the end?"
Yeah. I mean, it's not the end, but it just you look distinguished. It makes you look distinguished, like you know something, even though
not when you only have like not when you only have like one or two throughout.
Yeah,
you're not as distinguished. It's just like
once I got to this point, I was just Once I got and that was the thing. That was the thing. Like I was relatively young when this started going great. Like I was in my early to mid 20s when this started going that. So I was young. I was younger, and I tried to hide it as much as I could. I was like, oh god, this is terrible. But then like. I woke up one morning, half of it, I was like, just got to own it. Just got to own this stuff. It's mine now. This is what it is. So,
I agree.
But, it's magical.
Well, maybe we should start off a men's grooming podcast at this point. It's like
I'd be down for that. I have all the tips. Really? I got all the tips. Yeah, essential oils. I got. This isn't just natural. This is. There's years and years of grooming and taming to get this.
No, we don't wake up. Look, this is work. Beauty is pain. Beauty is pain.
This is why I wear a hat. It's like it's just like, bump. We're good. Let's press record.
I don't think you want to see what's going on under this hat. It's hook level. It's hook level, but not as good.
Look, thank you again. And thanks everyone, by the way, for joining us here. Like I said, Ben is here. We've got Lawrence Cartier. And I would have... Oh, you guys know who? Okay, because I would have... Being French-Canadian, I don't know where Lawrence is from, but I would say Laurence Cartier, right? Because that is a very, very French name.
He's from Canada. Oh, yeah. Lawrence is one of our love wrestling people who knows me as the one-time Quizplex champion.
Oh, well, okay.
Viewers champion because I paid him to.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy getting his plugs in. Look at this. That Ecto guy, nice to see you too. Connor McCabe, nice to see you as well. It's nice to see you.
Ecto guy, our producer, good guy. We love Alex.
So, and we're talking about Between Two Beards and so on and so forth. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit what Between Two Beards is all about?
JPJ just yells at me for an hour.
I try to tame him as much as I can, but no. Every Thursday, 8 p.m. So right before you go on at 9, Warren. So it could be a perfect lead into the Warren Hayes shows if you guys wanted to.
The Thursday night extravaganza.
Exactly. You get a whole big block of wrestling. You come see us from 8, and then at 9 you transition over to Warren.
The premium live Thursday.
That's exactly. Premium live event Thursday. You have Between Two Beards, B2B, leading into the Mr. Warren Hayes show. But no, we've been doing it. We're coming up on our year anniversary in a few weeks, so we've been doing it for about a year. Him and I met through Love Wrestling, and we just did a couple shows around Mania time of whatever, 2020, last year, 2021. And I liked our vibe. I thought we had a similar view of things, and he's around my age. We like the same music. So I was like, I kind of want to work with this guy. And it's been working out. We've been doing the thing. We've had you on numerous times. You're always a fun guest when you come on, pick on Spencer. You talked about hydration one time. We bring you on to talk about the important issues that are going on, not only in wrestling, but in society. And that is staying hydrated and making sure everyone's living as healthy a life of hydration as they can.
You come to a wrestling show, and we're going to talk proper hydration.
Exactly. We're going to talk basically almost about everything other than wrestling, and then we'll throw in the wrestling.
And honestly, that is the mark of a great wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
When you spend a half hour talking about anything like, I don't know, Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Like I'm still to this day surprised. We did an NFL preview episode on a whim, and it was our highest viewed episode on a wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
So, I was like, what is going on here?
Of course, right?
But hey, no, it's a good time. We have a lot of fun. We have guests popping in and out. Like you said, Warren, you've been on. We like to spend Spencer's money as much as possible. He's a good sport. We love Spencer for letting us do it and be as goofy as we can be within the constraints of the Love Wrestling hierarchy that is Spencer Love.
And shout out to Spencer. What a good guy. We love Spencer.
He's a great man. As much as we pick on him, he is fantastic.
Yes. We pick on him. If we didn't pick on him, we wouldn't love him.
Yes, correct.
It's as simple as that.
But I mean, I love spending his money.
I love it when you guys spend his money.
Yeah, we're never going to apologize for blowing the budget every week. Never. That's our thing. That's what we do. That's he knows what he got into. He keeps us on air. Hey, it ain't going to change.
If he didn't know, he sure as hell knows now. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning, and a big shout out to Dan Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve, who just popped into the chat. Nice to see you, Dan. I'm glad I'm able to do an occasional live stream on England time. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
So we're talking about AEW Revolution. This is what we're breaking down this morning, folks. Before we actually get into the card and into the nitty gritty, guys, I want to know what you guys, how are you feeling about in regards to AEW recently? Do you think it's on a good vibe? Do you think it's maybe not quite as fantastic? Like, give me just a general impression of where you're at mentally.
I am very high on the AEW product now. I think they've been, we were talking a little bit before we hopped on. I thought Rampage the other night was kind of the middle of the road. Wasn't a bad show by any means, but it was, it was fine for what it was. But as far as like the previous month, like leading up to this pay-per-view, I thought that they've been hitting all strides. I think Dynamite has been as can't miss to me as a wrestling product that I've seen in a while, especially these last few months. I feel like they've just been kind of just pumping out bangers every Wednesday night, if we're being honest. So I'm in a very, very positive spot, and this card that we'll dive into is absolutely stacked. And yeah, I'm very high on AEW currently.
Well, there you go. Very, very much. And as you were talking about that, the Ecto guy subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much for the subscription.
Hey, there you go, Ecto guy.
Pluggo, what do you
hate it? I hate it. It's terrible.
Well, all right.
Get
bricks.
No,
get him out of here.
Get him out of here. No, same thing, JP. I love it. Like I said, it's appointment viewing for me on Wednesday nights because I feel like if I'm not there, I'm missing out on something big or something potentially big. Because Tony Khan, for all his haters, like he promotes the hell out of his shows and makes you
right.
Like Wednesday, like this Wednesday, he said something major is happening on the level of CM Punk's United Center thing, and I'm like, well, shit, I gotta be there. I can't take a Wednesday off to go hang out with the wife and kids. But overall I enjoy it. I think though I am a little weary. If I had to be nitpicky, they have gone back to the rematch a little bit. Which I hope that's just to get them through Revolution, and then they'll move on to some new programs.
I'm pretty sure we'll be able to talk about that as we're going through a couple of matches. I think I might know where you're going with this. But yeah, I appreciate. Like, I know it gets. I'm trying to say too many things at once. You guys and myself, we've been watching wrestling for quite a long time. Where we haven't been around. Like, it's not a new thing for us. I was a kid in the 80s kind of thing, so when promoters do promoter things, they're like, look at that, look at them go kind of thing. But I know there's a lot of people, and I think especially new fans, who get really unnerved when they see Tony Khan doing, I got a big announcement coming up, and then he's all over the place hyping it and tweeting about it. I'm like, well, he's promoting, he's doing the promoter stuff, and as long as what he promises delivers, then no problem. He maintains that goodwill, because you always run that risk being a promoter to overpromise, right? And then you get to the final product and you're like, wait, this is trash, right? Like,
what do you guys think it's gonna be? Like, how can you top CM Punk returning after 7 years? Like, he's hyping it up to be that big. Like, if Cody Rhodes shows up on Wednesday night, like, that'd
be something. That would.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool and all, but I mean, that's not on the level.
Go ahead, Joe.
I don't think that if it's a performer, I don't think anybody could live up to CM Punk coming back after 7 years. I don't think it's going to be a performer thing. I would think maybe there's a acquisition of a Ring of Honor tape library, or an acquisition, or maybe a streaming service. Maybe. I think it's going to be more about on those lines of things than another talent coming in. Because I feel like if you're saying the announcement's going to be as big as CM Punk, that who in the wrestling landscape could that, like, what, Okada? It could be Okada.
There's
John Cena.
In my opinion,
what are we talking about?
Yeah, it has to be something like John Cena, right? But I don't think it's a talent thing. I think it's either one of two things. I have a fantasy one, and I have one which is slightly more realistic. The fantasy one, a joint show with WWE.
Oh my God, that'd be incredible.
But that's fantasy land, if we're being honest with each other. But otherwise, I think it's a joint show with New Japan.
That would be very, very big as well.
I think they're gonna run Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
and I mean they were successful when Ring of Honor did it, so I can't. I have to imagine they could probably. I don't know if there's anything they could go bigger than Madison Square Garden if you get AEW involved.
Are you kidding?
And then stadium.
And then you run back Okada Omega if Omega's ready to go. You run that back again.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be a big deal. That would
breaking
be a big
news here on the MrWarrenHayes show.
Well, look, hang on a second. We're all speculating here. All right, folks, let's get to it. Let's start talking about this card. Let's dive right in. I'm going off of our good old pals over at Wikipedia, who always seem to be on top of everything. The editors of the AEW stuff are very good, and we're gonna start in the order that's presented here. I'm not making any editorialisms or whatnot. We're going to start with TBS champion Jade Cargill, who will be defending her title against Ty Conti. That was just revealed this week, just a few days ago, that this match is happening. Look, I don't know how to lead this. Like, I don't want to taint too much here, but if I were to do a lead in here, I would say, well, this is a match showcasing two of AEW's brightest developmental talent, and I use developmental maybe in air quotes. What do you guys think? Let's start with Joe. Joe, what do you think about Jade Cargill versus Ms. Conti?
I think Cargill gets better in the ring every time I see her. So, and I think this match should be good. Ty Conti has, revitalized herself since she's gone to AEW. She had the title match with Britt. So she had a run there. Obviously, we kind of knew that Britt was going to win that one, as I think we all kind of know that Cargill's not losing this one. But I think the match will be good. It'll be fun. It will be a showcase of like, hey, these performers, these girls are going to be the future of this division. These are two people that we have picked to be big stars in this division moving forward. So I think it's a good spot. I am not a regular viewer of Dark or Dark Elevation. But as far as like the main shows, Rampage and Dynamite, I haven't seen Ty Conti a ton lately. So it's a good person to step up to me because she has had an AEW Women's Championship match before. So it makes sense that she's been to that level. Over. And she's over. The crowd loves her. They appreciate how much better she's gotten since being in AEW. I think the match will be fine, but I expect Jade Cargill to win and probably win rather decisively. That's at least my personal opinion of it.
Chat, by the way, let us know who you think is going to win here, because we will also.
Your chat's going to say Ty Conti. There, MrWarrenHayes show fans are Ty Conti.
It's a Ty Conti environment. She did that lovely video for us, and I can't tell you how much I appreciated it, because they usually
that's all it was awesome.
That kind of shit.
Yeah.
Pluggo, what about you? What do you think? How are you feeling this match?
I feel bad for Ty, honestly, because it's another one of those big spots where she's getting a title match, and ultimately I think she's going to lose. But I think that this match, I know Joe, I've never called you Joe before. That was weird coming out of my mouth. Right. JPJ, when he said that he thinks Jade's going to win rather decisively. I actually think that this will be a longer match. I think this is an opportunity. We saw it a couple weeks ago with Jade, where she had that longer match with, I'm blanking on her name. She chop blocked her at the beginning, which drew out the match. Oh my God. It'll come to me. But my point is, I think that we need to start seeing Jade in some longer form matches that aren't just squashes, so that we can see, so she can keep making that next step. And I think Ty's the perfect person to do that, because we've seen Ty be able to go, longer matches, have bigger spots. And I think you need to have a few, like, this needs to be the match where Jade is like, we think she's going to lose. Like, there's a couple 2 counts, like, and then
a couple close calls,
right? A couple close calls, like almost got you. She'll ultimately get the win because she is fantastic. I am all in on Jade. I've been all in on Jade Cargill since like not day one, because that initial promo was pretty rough, but day 2. I was day 2.
Day 2. I mean,
day 2-ish.
Day 2-ish.
I'm with you guys. I think I think Jade still has a long way to go. I know a lot of people are. there's some very unjust criticism, while there's also some overhyping. I like to think I'm a realist when it comes to Jade Cargill, because she is not even remotely half as bad as people make her out to be. I do think her greatest strength is her presentation, her looks, how she conducts herself. That unquestionably, like, there's, you know, no question in my mind that she is exactly what she's supposed to be. You know, she's been, I don't know if you guys had heard, but she's started working with Bryan, right? Or Bryan Danielson, excuse me.
Which is only a good thing.
And you could tell.
We saw it in the match that she ran against the Bunny, which I didn't think was either women's finest hour, but Jade is doing some grappling, getting on the floor, transitioning between holds. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, well, there we go. There's the American Dragon getting his licks in. So, to me, she wants to learn. She wants to improve. We've known of professional wrestlers who didn't give a shit, like who just wanted to go do their own little moves and then hit the bricks. You know,
you caught
Jade
her
is
interview
getting better,
with...
and it's tangible, it's visible, and I'm excited for that. So, you know, I as well was not a day one Jade Cargill guy. I was like, win me over, like legitimately. It's like, and she's winning me over. I'm much higher on her than before. I think she still needs solid partners in the ring to really help her shine. And I'm still on the fence in regards to these longer matches. I don't know if longer matches benefit Jade, you know, because it becomes a Goldberg type of situation. And I'm not trying to compare her to Goldberg outside of the streak, maybe, because God bless, you know, Jade has everything Goldberg never had.
I just mean eventually you've got to see it. You've got to see a longer match or two. She can't just 2 minutes and be done. Because
she had one on Rampage, I think late last year. I think it was her. Wasn't it her final match? Her match against Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho, yes.
Long. And it went a little long. I was like, it's exposing a couple of problems that she has.
It did. It did. It's not it's not ideal for her to go. I don't think Jade Cargill should ever go 30 minutes. Ever. Like,
not
but I
now
think,
anyway.
Yeah, you can't be squashing her out, having her squash out everybody.
And you don't want, and I agree, you don't want that either. So what's the median here? You know, where do we find some common ground? So it's a tricky one, you know. Like, who's winning here? Who we got?
Jade.
I have Jade. I
have Jade too. So we're all good. WrestleMania is joining us in the chat.
Hey-o.
And he says Warren has quite literally found himself between two beards.
Clever one there.
Hey, you know.
All right. Next up here, we've got the Andrade Hardy family office. Andrade Alidolo, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy with teaming up to fight the Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin thing. This screams Dynamite mid-show.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Or main event, or even that's a main event at Dynamite, because they usually do something huge during the mid-show. So, you know,
I don't have many thoughts about this other than this is the match that everyone's gonna forget ever happened.
I just can't imagine that Andrade signed up for this.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. Like, this needs to end.
Okay.
Like, the Hardy family office thing is just not. It doesn't work for me.
I think it worked for a while, but I feel it's overstaying its welcome, or it needs a real kick in the pants.
Something.
I think. Well, what is Andrade's position in AEW right now? Do you think maybe it's just due because of roster bloat? Like,
I think there has to be a part of it. Yeah. I mean, we all know how talented and how just good he is. Yeah. It does feel like he's just kind of like middling around a little bit. Like
Just imagine
again,
how much more excited we'd be if this was Sammy versus Andrade for the TNT title.
Yeah,
but then again, it happened on Rampage, and I sort of looked at it, and it was one of the clunkiest matches I had seen.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. With those two guys, you expect like, oh man, this is going to be a classic here, and it was just kind of. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like.
I thought it was clunky. You know.
Yeah,
like
I think that's a good word.
And like,
yeah,
and it's like there's no flow to it. It's like, come on, guys, get your shit together, you know, kind of thing.
I do. I mean, I hope there is a plan for Andrade moving forward. So I do agree on that. For me, I look at it the other way. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, the crowd's going to be super pumped to see Sting. We all are kind of super pumped to see Sting. And Darby as well. But like, Sammy Guevara and Darby are two of the bigger young stars you have, and
both super over.
Super over, and obviously Sting is always going to be super over. But like, specifically with those two guys, is this how you kind of want to be using them on a? You only have 4 pay-per-views a year. You know what I mean? Well, Sammy Guevara is a champion of yours, you know?
Here's the point, though. You only run 4 pay-per-views a year, and from a purely business perspective, right, you only get 4 pay-per-view payouts per year because they do get more money being on the big shows. Yeah. So is this just a way to
get them the spot, get them the
dudes, you know?
Be. It probably is.
Just keep cashing them checks.
Yeah. But I feel the same as you, Warren. I feel like this is the one match on the card that is like going to be forgettable. Like, oh, Sting did something crazy, jumped off something, because that's kind of what they've been having. Yeah. They've been having him do those crazy spots where you're like, this guy's 60. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but like he'll do something, and we'll remember that maybe. But I think all in all, like it's just going to be the match on the card that we probably talk about the least after the show. So.
And Sting, Darby, and Sammy are obviously going to win. Get the crowd pop.
It's a crowd pleaser. What this one's going to be. It's to see the fan favorites, have them do their spots, like you said. You know, Sting is going to do something to get the
jump off of Tony Schiavone.
Now there's something I want to see. You want to see. Darby do his crazy dives and all that shit. That's what you want. That's what we're going to get. And it'll be fine. It'll be a transitional match between 2 other matches, and it'll be fine. But other than that, I think we all agree that the baby faces are going to win here, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Not much more you can say about this one.
So we're going to have a 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The current title holders, Dino 210, are going to be taking on Red Dragon and what?
That was good.
What? That was really
well. That's how I don't even.
I've never heard that.
Some guy tweeted that out in a reply to me on Twitter one time, and I'm just like, I'm keeping that. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, good night, folks.
They're going to be facing Red Dragon and the winner of a casino battle royal this week on Dynamite. So at the time that we're recording this, that Dynamite hasn't spent yet. So we're going to start straight off the bat, guys. Who do you think is going to be the third tag team?
The Young Bucks.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense that it would be the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks. I think it's
they're not on the card yet. They
not on the card. I wouldn't mind Santana and Ortiz, but just with the story they're telling, the Young Bucks make perfect sense.
I think so too. I think it's I like there's the opposite would be strange. The opposite would really be strange. So let's go into this saying we're getting Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, Nick and Mac Jackson. Let's say that this is the setup. This is gonna rule.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't mind this being the opener of the show.
I think a very good opener.
That would be, fast paced. You know what you're getting with those. If it's those 3, you know what you're getting, regardless of who the third team is. You know it's gonna rule. So
the Bucks love the opener too.
Oh yeah.
It's
a good spot.
They love to get in there, hype that crowd, shoot that money out, and get going. They don't shoot the money out anymore, but
it's funny how the evolution of the opening match has changed over the decades, right? Where usually you just start, they'd call it the curtain jerker for a reason. Jerker.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they just toss on, Mike Enos and fucking Mike Sanders, right? Just like, go guys,
Yeah.
And
now,
while people are still getting their popcorn and their hot dogs. Whereas now you're like, now we got to start off. It's WWE does it, AEW does it.
Yeah. I feel like it's become the second most important match on the card, besides the main event, is the opener. Like, hey, we gotta, like you said, like we gotta start this off hot. We gotta get this crowd invested right away and jacked up right away.
Because this is still a pay-per-view. This is not a premium live event that AEW runs.
Yeah, so you're spending
you're spending $60 on a pay-per-view, right? Like, I want you to come out hot. I want it to be like, let's go. We're here. And I'm like, now I'm fully invested and I'm in it. Because if you get me hooked at the beginning of your show, I'm now like, what's going to happen next? If this is your opener, right? If you do Red Dragon, Bucks, and the Dino 2-1. I can't even say that. It's so good. But if you do that and you hide that thing, we know is going to be a banger, as the kids say. Like the rest of the night, you can, like, we expect it to just go up from there. Now, is every match going to live up to it? Maybe not. But I'm going into it after a 20-minute classic going, this night's going to rule. Like that. So yeah, you've got to start out hot.
Do we consider the Young Bucks versus Red Dragon as a bit of a tag team dream match? PLUGGO, what do you think?
I would say so. I think just based on those two tag teams' abilities in the ring, like, we want to see it. And I'm not going to act like I'm some historian that knows everything. I don't know if this has happened before in a New Japan or Ring of Honor setting back in the day. So I've never seen it. So I want to see it because it is two of the best tag teams in the world getting an opportunity to go to, not one-on-one because it'd be a triple threat. But yeah, I think it's a dream match that we'd want to see. And I'd want to see it if we could just keep going. I think the Bucks are going to, I think the Red Dragon's going to win.
Oh,
and then we're gonna get the Bucks Red Dragon card, because I think if they win, that gives that Adam Cole thing gets involved. There's so many things tied to this that I think one of the two teams has to win, and we see where Adam Cole, because he still hasn't decided exactly who he wants to be with both teams, but I think ultimately he needs to pick one.
I think he wants his friends to all get along here. What do you think, Joe?
As far as the dream match goes, I'm on the same playing field as PLUGGO. Like, I'm not a super duper historian, but it's a match that I've never personally seen before that I would very much like to see. So it is a dream match of mine. I'm torn on this one when we're talking about like who I think is going to win, because when Jurassic Express won these tag titles, that was a moment. They made it a moment. It was at the end of Dynamite. Jungle Boy getting his first title, like that was a big deal. And I feel like the reign so far has been kind of underwhelming. In general. And I do think it's a tad too early to take the belts off them because they haven't really done much with them. But the belts the tag titles would make the juicy story between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks and Adam Cole so much more juicier. Like, that would add such another layer on top of Adam Cole being stuck in the middle between his friends who are on separate teams, especially if one of them are the tag champions and the other ones are like, we want those. And then they're fighting. Already they don't get along, but then they're fighting, and now there's an objective. There's, hey, we need to be the tag team champions.
And
they have
Adam Cole,
and Adam Cole's stuck in the middle. And he's like, well, damn it. And again, yes, and we'll get to it, but he's in a very important match for a title later too, that who knows? And it's just one of those things where the titles add so much more to the story between Young Bucks and Red Dragon that I do expect one of those teams to win too. It's just the
ultimate level of competitiveness. Like, that's their issue right now. It's that they just, they're just, at each other. They want to compete with each other. So why not compete for the main prize then, right? So as opposed to these two guys don't like each other. Oh, and by the way, there's a title involved, kind of thing. So it's all a natural progression.
I just imagine the one of the teams that doesn't win, and let's just say, when I don't know yet, because I'll make that prediction when we get there. Let's just say for funsies, Adam Cole won, and then you've got the Bucks or the Red Dragons as tag team titles. You've got a title, we've got a title. Makes sense you should be with us, and then two get left out. Like, that just to me would tell a really cool story.
Okay.
Or maybe he goes with the two that got left out, and yeah, I just think it opens up a lot of possibilities. And like you said, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are awesome, but they haven't done anything with the titles. I don't know if it's their fault, because they haven't been. It's not like they're getting booked in premium spots either. So maybe Tony Khan is just like, we'll move off of it. We gave Jungle Boy his title. Maybe we get Jungle Boy back in the TNT picture. That would be nice.
I want to say hi to Astrid Pizarro, who just joined us. And
hey, Astrid week forever, Team Astrid.
Now, This is what I'm thinking, okay? Because I'm very much close to what Joe's saying, where he's like, it feels too soon to take the titles off of Dino 210, especially because I've been huge on the team, and I'm a big Jungle Boy guy.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic, and I've been clamoring for them to get the titles and get some wins, and because as over as they are, no one likes to cheer for a loser. Like ultimately, at some point, you're like, what's the point? Because you guys are always losing. So that's all cool. Here's the wrinkle. Here's the thing. Here's the element that I think could make it so that Red Dragon do win the titles. Christian Cage. Because I sincerely believe Christian Cage is going to turn on them both, and we're going to get a singles program between him and Jungle Boy, and it's going to rule, and it's going to help, and Christian Cage is going to help put Jungle Boy over as a megastar, because they've
already planted the seed.
What's that?
He already planted the seed.
Oh, I know.
Christian Cage is sitting in the chair and made that 65 million year old dinosaur stand for that entire battle royal. That is rude, Christian Cage. You let the elder sit down. He's 65 million years old. Let him sit. His knees are
let
tired.
Him have a break. Yes, exactly.
Jeez, Christian.
But I really think that that's where they're going with this. And because, they've worked a lot on Darby, the infamous 4 pillars, right, at this point. They've worked a lot on Darby. They've worked a lot on Sammy recently, with the whole Cody stuff and whatnot. And I think they've opened the door for Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy, I think, is the next guy of those 4 who really has to go
next level up.
And I think that's what they do. And I'm with you guys. I think if anyone takes the titles off of the Jurassic Express in this match here, it's going to be Red Dragon. It's what makes most sense.
That's what I agree.
So is this our official prediction? Like, I'm going with Red Dragon winning the titles, but because of Christian Cage.
Because of the Christian Cage. I knew eventually Christian was going to turn on Jungle Boy. I think that they've been layering that in for a little while now.
I think they should.
I think everyone kind of assumed eventually, like, oh, Christian's going to get jealous, like this young person, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they get there. I didn't think about it for this specific match, but that is a good point by you, Warren. But
I like Jungle Boy, like Christian costing them the match, and him being like doing the "I'm sorry, my bad," and then Jungle Boy shoves him or something. Like, I would be down with the little edge.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset if they kind of swerved us all, and like Jungle Boy was the one that turned eventually too. Like, I wouldn't mind a more attitude-y Jungle Boy running around, but he's just too over that they can't. I don't think he can do it. The song, he's just way too over.
Because I'm also like, play on the dude's strengths, and he has a natural connection with the audience because people still pop for him, despite the fact that he has one of the losingest records in the entire company.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
No, but it's true. Like, at some point, you can go like WWE and say, no, you want Becky Lynch as a heel, people. That's what you want. And people, no, we don't want Becky Lynch as a heel. What the fuck are you talking about? It's either or. All right. Well, there's our prediction for this match, but it should be, regardless of the outcome, I think it'll be a fun match.
Fantastic.
Let's move along here. I want to say hello to Evan Wright, who's joined us, who also points out that I'm sitting between 2 beards. I'm excited for everyone who pops into the chat to keep pointing it out. But thank you for joining us, Evan.
I don't get it though. Like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? I'm just kidding. It's our show. We know what it means.
What does it mean?
Like, you're
all right. Let's get serious, boys.
Well, then
Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
They're
gonna beat the shit out of each other,
right?
And it's gonna be glorious.
It's gonna be fantastic, right? There's no reason why this is not going to be fantastic. There's no reason why
one of them is gonna die.
I hope not.
Well,
me neither.
In case somebody's walking out of there a little sore.
How do we approach this? Okay, I'll throw this to you, Joe. I think that right now, well, in my opinion, right? Of course, this is all opinion, right? I mean, we don't deal in facts here. I think that the Jon Moxley, Daniel Bryan stuff on AEW is the most compelling, awesome shit going on the entire show, top to bottom. There's nothing that gets me going more than these two guys. These two guys program. I'm afraid to call it a feud because it just feels like just two guys who want to fight each other. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. I think this is the best thing on AEW right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely up there. This and CM Punk and MJF are the two things I care about the most right now, currently on AEW television. I've loved every promo segment that these two have had. I loved Danielson saying, "Hey," I loved him mentioning Lee Moriarty. I loved him mentioning Wheeler Yuta and mentioning Daniel Garcia and then fighting them all. Mm-hmm. And then I love the match he had. That main event on Dynamite with him and Garcia was awesome. And that whole time, him yelling the whole time, like, show me, like yelling at Garcia, show me the what I want to see.
Like he's already the dojo leader,
Correct. Yes. Like he's doing this in the matches. He did it with Moriarty too. Like, come on, show me. And at the end of the Garcia match, he said, that's what I was looking for. Like, that's who and I love the first promo where Moxley was like, look, I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying no either. Like, I'm not uninterested. And then you hear, well, you know what? Before I start teaming with people, I got to bleed with them first. I got to see how tough they truly are before I start, and that's true because if you look at the previous person that Moxley started teaming with in Kingston, it went that way too. He had to kind of like, they were friends, but like Kingston had to prove his worth to Moxley to start teaming with him. So Moxley has always kind of done that. Like, hey, I'm not against teaming with you, but I got to know you're worth me teaming with you first. Right. And it's just so good. It's just so good. I hope they do team. I hope they beat the crap out of each other. We'll talk about the predictions in a bit. And then I hope they do team up together. And I hope they take Lee Moriarty and Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta and they create whatever they're doing, a dungeon, whatever they're going to do, a dungeon, whatever, just a group of people that just ruin everybody. I don't care. But that's what I want. I want these two to be together. And if they got to beat the crap out of each other to do it first, good. That's more enjoyment for me. I love it. I love it all.
What do you think, Pluggo?
Oh, my God. I think he said it all. But I will. No, that's fine. Because this is fantastic.
The Italian in me, I can go, man.
Oh, that's fine. That's why I keep you around. Fill the gaps in the show. But no, this is great. And we just talked about the pillars, right? The MGFs, the Darbys, the Sammy Guevaras. But what Garcia Yuta. Sorry, I said Yuta at first, and I was like, that was terrible. And Lee Moriarty. That's your next. That's your whatever. There's pillars, whatever's under that. That's next, right? So having Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley essentially put those three over as the future of the company and saying, give them to us, let us mold them. They'll be here long after we're gone type stuff. I think that is fantastic. And this Bryan Danielson is wonderful. Like, give me more. That's awesome. What I want to see. He's never gone into a match going, don't give me your best. Like, no, I want you to try to kill me. And then you know what I mean? And I love that. I love that. Like, that's awesome. Cause he knows he's the best going right now in wrestling and he can beat anybody. And Moxley looks like $1 million. Shout out to him. I think he looks great, and I think they're going to beat the crap out of each other. And I think the ultimate winner is us, the fans. I don't even care who wins. I want them both to just fall and do a 10 count.
But I feel like a lot of us probably feel that way. Like at the end of the day, we're going to pick who we think is going to win. But I'm perfectly okay with any outcome that happens in this match. Like I'm not rooting for one guy over the other. I like both these guys. I just want them to beat the crap out of each other. If Danielson wins, awesome. If Moxley wins, awesome. But as long as it ends up with them together afterwards, that's really the prediction that I want.
This is a main event anywhere else. Like this is a main event match anywhere else, and it's somewhere in the middle of this card.
Sure.
That's how crazy.
And I don't think, and I think they mentioned it in promos, like these two, even when they never fought one-on-one, correct? Nope. Like this is never a match that's happened. Nope. So
no, because he was
they were in 6-man with the Shield and Bryan and stuff like that, but they never had a one-on-one even over there. Nope. So this is like, you want to talk about dream matches? We talked about like this is like,
but it's crazy.
Let's go.
We're talking about this being a dream match, 5 years ago, would you have considered this a dream match?
Probably not. Probably not.
You know, it's like
Dean Ambrose and Daniel
we're back
Bryan.
in the Fed. We're back in the Fed. Daniel Bryan versus Dean Ambrose. You're like, all right, you know.
Cool.
Because they had because when at the time they had him dressing up as a Mountie and he was coming out with big funny hats and they weren't really taking
hot dog
Dean
cards
Ambrose.
and
I know Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan back then was injured, so he was more in the GM role. But like, yeah, they just never positioned either one of those guys at the time to be as serious as this. Like this feels like real stuff.
And I think with it being on AEW television, you know that AEW is going to let them beat the shit out of each other. Whereas if it happened, even in these current state, if it happened on the other network, it ain't going to be as violent and it's just not going to be the match that we know AEW is going to allow them to have, which is going to be just a brutal war. And that's what it's going to be. So
we're being pointed out that Daniel Bryan and Dean Ambrose did have a one-on-one, but you know, like Mox was emphasizing the fact that
we're wrong again.
That he never defeated.
I thought
that he never defeated Bryan Danielson. That's his.
Gotcha.
And I think that's a great touch because
sense.
This version of Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, whatever you still call him, like this is like might be my favorite. Like this is like the best version of him because it's just it's clicking. Like he's so cocky and arrogant and he just knows how good he is. And I just want to see this. This will probably be a match depending on obviously how it goes, but I'm just speculating on paper that I'm going to want to watch again. Like in terms of I will watch it back like down the road.
This is the kind of match that I watch wrestling for. I'm not, this is it. Like, this is the kind of match where I'm like, this is my wheelhouse. This is what I'm excited for. You've got two guys who have completely reinvented themselves after leaving the Fed, right? And I think Jon Moxley is still one of the most striking reinventions, right? One that it's like, oh, he's not going around doing goofy shit and saying that the audience smells, and having to wear gas masks and all that bullshit, right? Not, feuding with feuding with another guy with a fern, it's like nothing, none of that stuff is still relevant. We've got an entirely new guy. We've got a guy who comes in who's all he wants to do is beat people up. And ultimately that's what wrestling is. You're a pro fighter, you go into a ring to beat people up so that you can win and get more money at the end of the day. Ultimately, that's what pro fighters do. So it's believable, it's conceivable, and he's going around the indies and he's beating people up there as well. And he's just got that aura. He's got that thing, and I he is living the best version of himself. Daniel Bryan is reminding us how good he was, what he used to be before the Yes movement and all of that. Because I can't forget. I can't remember which podcast I was listening to recently, but someone was making an excellent point. Whereas Daniel Bryan got over in WWE, of course, despite the company, right? Despite what they wanted. And he didn't get himself over because of Batista, because of Triple H. It's because he beat the company. That's why people got behind Daniel Bryan. That's why people cheered for him. That's why the Yes thing happened, because at some point he was just bigger than the corporate entity. And that's again something that you can relate to. But it's not his in-ring, well, yes, to a degree, right? Because he is, no one wrestles like the man. But it's not because he put on 5-star classics every week on WWE programming. It's because of what he represented, what he was able to get over, and that weird natural connection he's able to create with an audience. Now you got a guy where he's just like, you know what? I'm in the last couple of chapters of my career. I'm coming out swinging. I'm just like, and then you're like, this guy, we had legitimately forgotten how good he is, how generational a talent he is. He's probably the best North American wrestler to ever do it. From me, because he can do it all, and he's doing the heel thing. He came in as a babyface, then he sets up against Adam Page, and all of a sudden he's a snide
just
little
one
bastard,
promo,
and you're like, he can do it all. Like, I don't think we're gonna look back at his career and we're gonna be like, I don't think there's anyone who could do it better than Brian Danielson. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I do not think you're wrong. I think at least of the last 15, 20 years, he's the most influential, most important, at least North American, like you said, North American wrestler. I think, yeah, without question. So many people that we watch on AEW and around the world, but on AEW every week, they wrestle the way they wrestle because of Bryan Danielson.
Sure.
That's why they wrestle that way. Mm-hmm. And I think when he was in WWE, as great as it was, and we all loved him there too, that wasn't, like you said, that wasn't the focus. It wasn't the wrestling that got him over. It was the character. And in WWE, most of the time, it's not the wrestling that gets it's the stories and the characters that get over more than the in-ring, whereas AEW is kind of more in the middle, more leans towards, hey, no, we appreciate good wrestlers. Like, that's what, and yeah, he looks like he's in heaven over there. He's having the time of his life. He gets to wrestle the way he wants to wrestle, do the things he wants to do. And yeah, I would agree. I think
he wants to, and if he's, if he's like you mentioned, right? If he's dropping names of younger talent there, those are endorsements. Can you imagine? Like, Garcia is in his early 20s.
He's like 23 years old.
Yeah.
And he's clearly, like, he's fighting. He's in the ring with one of his heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that kind of shit has to be mind-boggling to you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you, like, how do you not, like, crack some smiles during that, right? Just
right?
Kind of like
yeah. Like when he's yelling at you and stuff, and in the ring, you're like,
right?
like he has to be sitting there, like, in character, just being like, I cannot believe I am main eventing Dynamite with this guy. Like, I am here.
That's
right
how
now.
we feel being here right now with you, Warren. We're like, we can't believe we're here with Warren. This is fantastic.
Never mind. No.
I'm trying to keep it serious because it's Warren. But I'm busting on the inside, man. I'm like, But ultimately, I think if we're going to make predictions, if we want to put predictions out and we want to see this Moxley Danielson dojo thing happen, which I think we all do, I think Bryan has to win. Because that would be like, all right, you beat, because Mox is like, if I don't bleed with you, I don't roll with you. Well, beating you is an ultimate respect thing. And if Mox wins, like, he just like, I beat you, why would I want to roll with you? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think Danielson.
I'm leaning the other way.
I'm going to say Danielson. I think he wins.
Look at Danielson. Danielson hasn't lost still at all, right? Yeah. He's whatever, couple draws, but he's undefeated.
Yes, he has lost.
Has he
lost against Pat? He lost against Paige.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Duh. Fool. Never mind.
Man. Get the Wikipedia.
I don't even watch the show. Get me out of here. No, but I feel like they could have a war. Danielson can make Moxley bleed. They could have that war, and Moxley can get his first like major win back since returning, like major win at the pay-per-view, and then afterwards be like, again, I don't know if they do team up. I don't know. Are they teaming up as heels? Is Moxley going to go heel? Because he's still babyface-ish to me. You know what I mean? Like, he's still good guy-ish to me. He's a beat the crap out of you. He don't care who you are. Like, he'll ruin you. But he's still presented as a good guy to me. And if they join forces, does Danielson, who we came in as a good guy and then turned for the Page feud, does he lean back towards that, or does Moxley lean more towards I'm turning heel for this? Or maybe is the dynamic that they are just who they are, and you got kind of a good guy and kind of a bad guy.
How do you boo that,
ruin
though?
people?
How do you boo that though as a fan?
You won't. It's going to be heaven for all of us.
You absolutely can't. I'm going to be cheering the whole way through. If they do pull the dojo stuff off,
So I think their face is by just because we're not going to let them be. We're not going to boo that out of the building.
So PLUGGO, you think?
I'm going to go with Danielson.
You're going.
I think Moxley needs a big win since his return. And if you beat Danielson, you can still do it in a way where afterwards Moxley's like, "Hey, I got the best of you, but I respect the hell out of you. You took me to the end, and yeah, let's do this thing." And I think that's what they do.
I think they're going time.
Oh, all right.
I think they're going time on this one.
Third draw. We're going to get a third draw for Danielson. Oh, it's going down, guys.
And I'm completely okay with it because, like there's instances where the time limit draw doesn't make sense and it's not good. But like last year, 3 of my favorite matches of the year were time limit draws.
Yeah.
There was one in Noah. Look, anyway, it doesn't matter. But like 3 of my favorite matches last year were time limit draws. And as we're, if these two guys just go completely all out at each other for 30 minutes, because that's what it'll be in non-title, right? So it'll be 30 minutes. I think it'd be fantastic. I think it will be. Just you lean into the drama of it, and you know, a war of attrition, and then to me, it makes even more sense to say, let's start up our own thing then, because clearly we're on the same level. And then you set a seed for, you know, eventually if they want to split them up, it's like, well, you know, you never beat me, yeah, but you never beat me either, you know, kind of thing. It's like, whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
that's that makes some sense. That would be fun.
I don't think you can go wrong any which way.
Yeah, I think either
match.
any one of these three outcomes, I think we're all.
If I'm ultimately wrong, then okay, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again.
What?
Yeah, I know. Hard to believe.
I didn't even remember that Bryan Danielson lost a match, so don't feel too bad. So
we got to start watching the product, Jade.
I know. He's been winging it this whole time.
I mean, Warren's on AEW's payroll. We're not watching the show. This is just
exactly. I get the cliff notes first and foremost. So
I was gonna say you probably already know what's gonna happen. Yeah,
I have all the talking points here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Trevor, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. And Mike M. I felt like saying next we've got on the list Chris Jericho taking on Eddie Kingston. Now, I'm gonna tell you, there is one single person on this planet right now who can sell me a ticket to any one of his matches with one promo, and that is
Chris Jericho.
Jericho was great.
Yeah, Jericho was good this past week.
This week, Jericho was
that was his best promo in a long time.
Not trying to be cute with the crowd, not trying to get you know, square head over all that bullshit that he does, you know, which really gets to me. I think it's annoying. No, he was.
Well, you're not a fan of the GFY, huh?
Nope.
That one didn't hit for you.
Nope, that one did. I'm telling you,
especially earlier in the night.
I have a better chance getting Dino 210 to work.
I think so. I think so.
But
Kingston
this
is
promo
phenomenal.
was fantastic, and Eddie Kingston, man, I don't know if you guys remember this. I don't know if you remember this, but the moment that I realized the genius of Eddie Kingston, and I promise I'll let you guys talk in a second, but the minute that I remembered Eddie Kingston, that I realized how genius a man this guy was. 2 years ago, Lance Archer was supposed to fight for the TNT title, or no, it was for the world title against Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
And like the day before, or same day of Dynamite, Archer tests positive for COVID, can't make it, right? They had their opening match, and immediately after the opening match, Eddie Kingston comes out and he's got a mic, and he cuts the most electric promo, one of the most fantastic promos within 3 minutes. I was like, because there was no build to this match. They were building Archer and Mox, and then all of a sudden they have to flip it. They put Kingston in there, 3 minutes. He makes me a believer. I'm like, I want to see this. This is the most real shit. I'm into it. And like 50 minutes later, he was wrestling Jon Moxley, and I was like, this is fantastic. Eddie Kingston, man, he sold me on this match 100%, despite all the shenanigans that they were doing months beforehand. You know, with 2.0 and Santana and Ortiz and all that. All it took was that promo to make me believe and be like, fuck yeah, this is the match I want to see. I'm more excited for this match than a bunch of others on the card.
And with Eddie Kingston, like Jericho had to have known in that moment, like I got to come with my A game, because Eddie's not going to take, like, Eddie Kingston is not going to put up with the blockheads and the this and the cute stuff. Like, you got to come real with Eddie because that's what he's going to bring. You can tell he was laughing. I think everything that man says, I've been on him since I've met the NWA promo that he cut about homicide. Like, ever since that moment, like, that was the first time I got introduced to Eddie Kingston, and I just believe everything that man says. Like, yes, it's wrestling, and I know it's a game, but I believe that like everything he says is real, and that's how he feels, and it just comes across that way, and the crowd eats it up. I mean, he got a massive pop when he came back last week, like insane, like probably the biggest pop of the night. And you're just, and you know, you're an outsider and you're thinking, oh, who's this Eddie Kingston guy? But you listen to him talk, and then like Jericho stepped his game up because he knew he was in the ring with a heavyweight promo guy. And all of it clicked and it all worked. And I mean, it was still Jericho type promo where he was like, I'm going to talk about sports entertainment. I
loved it.
I loved it. And, oh my God.
You should go up the block. He says, you should go up the block. And Jericho's like, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Yeah. I can go back there anytime I probably want. I'm on good terms. Maybe I will go up the block. I loved how Jericho, you know, he called him he's trying to dig deep into Kingston, calling him a loser, calling him a jobber. Oh, he talks about his family, like how all his heroes failed him, and Kingston's scared of failure. He's just like any other guy, you know what I mean? And like, that's all stuff that people can relate to, because a lot of us probably feel that way at times of like, oh man, I know I should do this, but am I going to get my ass kicked doing this? Like, is this going to fail? And then we're humans. We all go through that stuff. So like, he's using that. And then I love Kingston kind of laughing it off, but then I love at the end when Kingston was like, hey, do me a favor. I don't want the Jericho that's fighting in mimosa matches. He's like, I want the Jericho that bled in Tennessee, the Jericho that beat Austin and Rock in the same night. I want that guy, because if you're not that guy, I'm going to eat you alive. And you know, it's true. If Jericho doesn't pull out that Jericho that, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to do whatever that we know he can do. He's an all-timer. If he doesn't pull that out, Kingston will ruin Chris Jericho. All this fun, happy-go-lucky, hey, let me do these gimmick matches. And oh, my God. I was excited for the match anyway because I love King. And again, I'm not a person. AEW is the first time I've ever really watched Eddie Kingston. I knew who he was. I've seen some social media in like promos and interviews. Like, I've seen them, but I've never seen him on a week-to-week regular basis before he came to AEW. And he is as good as advertised, if not better, than what people on social media said, like how good this guy is. As far as a promo goes, I would argue there are few better than him in all of wrestling in general. But this on Wednesday night, that made me want to see this match. And before Wednesday, I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. But I wasn't super invested.
It's because it was because of Jericho.
Correct.
Because he does the goofy, cutesy bullshit. And I think,
good.
But Kingston's been in bigger spots in AEW than this match he's having on Saturday or Sunday. Sorry.
That's Sunday.
Is it Sunday? Yeah, it's Sunday. Yeah. I forget. Sometimes they switch it. But Jericho made me believe that this is the biggest moment of Eddie Kingston's life, right? In terms of wrestling in the ring. And it might be the biggest opponent he's ever faced in terms of name value, but like, it's just Eddie has to win. I think Jericho's smart enough to know you can't bury this guy after all that shit you just said. Like, you can't tell him he never wins the big one. He's never going to get there. And then you put yourself over here. Like, I would feel real bad if Kingston loses this thing.
Eddie hasn't, but like Jericho's right. Eddie hasn't had the big win, right?
Right.
He hasn't nailed the big one yet. He's been in some big matches, but you know, he hasn't had that one as of yet. And I think I'm with you guys. I think he absolutely has to beat Jericho in this one. It just 100%. Makes sense. And I think the fact that Jericho was hammering it home so hard. I mean, like, because he said it a couple of times. You can't win the big one. You can't win the big one. You know. I think that's a tell. I think that's a tell that Kingston's gonna go.
Does Proud and Powerful get involved? because that's ultimately where this started, was with them, and they're not, according to us, they're not on the card. Do they come out? Is there some chicanery going on? Does Eddie Kingston go full blown like heel and just have them? I'm interested to see where those two end up in this. Or do you just go one-on-one, nobody involved? Like, just.
I mean, I could see them. I would like the one-on-one aspect of it. I wouldn't mind, like, maybe if they were watching or came down to ringside, but they didn't get involved type thing. But I think if we're working that angle, that like one of these guys is going to go heel, I think Jericho would be the one that would be the one that would side towards, like, if we're going heel type stuff here, I would think it should be Jericho that does that. But I fully agree. I think this is 100%. This needs to be Kingston's first real big win. And then it makes sense. Like, Jericho can lose and he's still Chris Jericho. It does not matter at all.
It doesn't change a thing. No, absolutely not.
It literally doesn't. So
he's jacked, by the way, too.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's in shape. He's in some good shape, Jericho.
He's like, I'm like, where did those come from, man?
Yeah, he's looking good.
For you.
People accusing him of getting ab implants. I'm like, how does that even work?
Yeah, how
do
you
do that?
I needed to call that up like 10 years ago.
Some shading with the makeup department. I don't know.
Well,
so you can get implants with anything, man, if you want. You can do it. It's out there, I'm sure.
Good to know.
It's so weird. But
you guys want to talk implants on the show? We could just forget the AEW card. We'll talk implants.
Oh wait, on my AEW talking points, I said don't talk about the ab implants. Okay, so
shoot, was that straight from Tony Khan himself?
Well, I can't reveal my sources.
Fair. We wouldn't want you to lose that bankroll, man.
No, God, no, absolutely not. So are we? Do I feel we're all in agreement that Eddie Kingston should and probably will win?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I agree. All right. The face of the Revolution ladder match. Very interesting setup here that I think we've got. A lot of people that I was not expecting to see in here. Keith Lee, but that I'm delightfully happy to see here. Keith Lee, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, and we still have one more spot to open up between Pac or Buddy Matthews, who debuted last Wednesday. It's a ladder match. It's Money in the Bank. It's whatever you want to call it. Call your shot. What do we think of the setup of the people who are involved? Like at the time we're recording, of course, we don't know if it's Pac or Buddy Matthews. I would have the impression that they're going to put Matthews in here. I feel like it's one of these go-to matches that they really like to put their new guys in. They kind of did that with Adam Page. They did that, not Adam Page, Ethan Page, excuse me. They did that with Brian Cage as well. So how do you guys feel about the lineup here in this ladder match?
Well, the first three that got in were Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs. And then I was like, those are three big boys. And those are three that, usually in ladder matches, matches, there aren't a ton of big muscle, powerful people. There's usually one maybe in there for some, but that's half the match is these big, as Big E would say, meaty men slapping meat type stuff, right?
Yep.
So I saw that and I was like, ooh, all right, because we know Keith Lee for a big guy is agile. We know Wardlow is agile. Powerhouse Hobbs is he can do some stuff too. So like these are three massive men, but they are agile big men too. So I was pumped. Then you see Ricky Starks get in there. I love Ricky Starks. I'm glad he's in a high profile match.
Me too.
And Orange Cassidy is as over as that company has. So that makes sense. I like it. I like the dynamic of three big dudes and then essentially three smaller, even though Buddy Murphy is not small. But like, if he, Buddy Matthews, if he were to get
205 pounds for a while. I don't know if
for a while he was, yes, he was 205 or under, according to,
or under.
But,
so was Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, apparently.
I like it though. I like the dynamic of half the matches, these big dudes, and half the match are the smaller guys. I think that's going to set up for some creative spots that will be done. I mean, I'm high on everybody they've announced so far. I very much like all the individuals in this match. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see some of these big guys throw around some of these little guys.
PLUGGO?
Off ladders, into ladders, whatever. I'm ready to
Sure.
see some chaos.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of hurt bodies after this match. PLUGGO, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, I like the mix. I think you can't just do all high flyers and then no big guys. I'm intrigued by Wardlow being in here because I feel like he and just thinking about it would be my front runner because they're pushing him to be a baby face, and this would be a good spot for him to pull it off. Keith Lee is in this thing, and I think I just don't know. They have so much talent in this mid card that I could see
It's
challenging
ridiculous.
for a title. That it's like you got to pick one, right? And this is that match where it's like this is another one of those matches where I'm just gonna sit back and watch what unfolds. Ultimately, yeah, I think we're in agreement. I think Buddy Matthews gets the spot because he's the new shiny toy, and he could do some fun stuff in there. But then again, I don't think he's going to win it. I think he's got some stuff going on with the House of Black that he needs to take care of before we're putting him in a world title match, because I don't think he's ready for that spot. So I'm interested. Ricky Starks, I think, would be a good one, but will they just recognize the FTW championship already?
No, because it's not. No, I don't think Taz wants it because he keeps it's a lifestyle. Remember?
Right,
it's not really a title. It's a lifestyle.
It's just like being the Quizflex Viewers Champion. It's a lifestyle. It's not a title. But
putting that over.
I also like the dynamic of having two people from the Taz group in there because they're essentially friends. But there's going to come a time in the match where it's going to be like, hey, we both want to win this. So I like that dynamic as well. Like, do they just team up? And the whole time they're taking everyone out, and then it's the thing where Ricky's like, all right, I'm going to climb up and get this, and Hobbs is like, no, you're not. No, you're not. So I like that dynamic as well.
Maybe Cody comes back.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
They do really good. I think that they do really well in these ladder match spots where they give everybody a great amount of shine. And ultimately, I've not been disappointed with who they've decided to win. I don't think there's been one where I was like, yeah, that wasn't the right call. So I don't have a really true beat on who I think is going to win it. But I mean, the front runners for me would be Wardlow and a Keith Lee. I think that you can't go wrong there.
Is this for a shot at the world title or the TNT title?
I think it's a call your shot kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha.
I think so. So they can do pretty much what they want. But the one thing that I also appreciate is that AEW hasn't gone very, very hard on ladder matches, which is why I think which also contributes into saying I like how their ladder matches have gone on, right? Because Brian Cage is the winner, Scorpio Sky, Adam Page, these were all singles ladder matches. Sammy Guevara, of course, in that ladder match with which ultimately was Cody's swan song, right? So yeah, they haven't been going too hard on them, and you have to appreciate that. I'm ecstatic over Hobbs being in this match because I think he's a guy whose shine is his proper shine. I think it's overdue. I really think that it's time for him to go forward, because in a company where most of the roster is made up of smaller guys, agile, he sticks out, which is one of the reasons why a guy like Wardlow works so well, and why a guy like Keith Lee is going to work really well, because they just and Brody King, on top of that, guys who completely break the mold the perception that you might have of an AEW wrestler. These guys are just like they're and Hobbs is one of these that is another one that has grown tremendously. A guy that AEW can claim as homegrown, like Wardlow, for instance. The guys that did, it's like we made these guys into who they are, and I don't think he's gonna win. I think Keith Lee's going to win, because I think, if I'm the booker of this, I want to show the fans who were, who had been complaining and incredulous at the idea of WWE not knowing what to do with Keith Lee. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm like, look, I know what to do with Keith Lee.
Yeah.
You know, the guy, because the guy is superstar. It
Yep.
only takes a talent like WWE to not know what to do with him, because it's not luck anymore, folks, right? It's not happenstance. At this point, it's a skill that WWE has developed to have sure things in their midst and bungle it and not be able to
have
do
them
anything
roaring on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey, we have this guy who's super charismatic. What can we do to make him succeed?
this-
Let's take everything that made him popular away from him. Let's do that.
Stop smiling. Don't connect
Yeah.
with the audience. Stop this shit.
No. Yeah. Put
We've
on
got
a
a better
shirt.
vision for
Put
you.
on a singlet, will you? Like, yeah, come on. It's all the same.
They do that though, but they do that. They did that with like I remember like Shinsuke is not the greatest promo. What did they have him do? Come out and talk for 5 minutes. Like
Well, that's it. Well,
that's
they
not
do-
his. That's not his strong suit.
You
What
do
are you
the
doing?
same- Yeah, well, look. We
can
know,
go down
like I
that
said,
road all
it's
day.
a skill now. Like, people are like, oh, they messed up. No, they don't mess up anymore.
Here,
It's not messing
here-
up.
Carrying Cross. Here's that goofy mask thing. Have fun getting that over.
Anyway, we can have a whole other show on that stuff.
Yeah, goddamn. So, if I'm a betting man, I'm going, and Ricky Starks as well. You guys mentioned Ricky Starks, but I think I want to underscore Ricky Starks here as another fantastic wrestler, and who's in a great position here. I'm going to enjoy the layout of this match. I'm really excited to see how it's going to go. If I'm a betting man, I'm going with Keith Lee winning it. But I don't know what you guys think.
I agree.
Yeah, I
he's
agree.
obviously we don't know the sixth person yet, and
But I
in
don't
these
think
matches they have thrown in surprises. Like Brian Cage was a surprise. Hangman coming back was a surprise. So we could run into another surprise that we don't know of that would obviously change our opinions. But I am 100% with you. I think it's Keith Lee. You run with him.
Pluggo, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with Keith Lee. Like I said, I was torn between Wardlow because I think it'd be a nice feather for the MJF story. I can't speak. I don't know what's wrong with me here. But we're not talking about implants. I got nothing to talk about.
I think
Keith Lee. I think Keith Lee ultimately gets the win because, like you said, I think Tony Khan is going to show all the detractors like, hey, I know what to do with this amazing 340-pound just freak of nature. That
Give
the
me your
WWE
sure
did.
shots, and
Yeah.
I'll
Yep.
run with the ball.
You're
Now-
dropping the ball. I'm going to take it and run with it. So I'm down
Now-
with that.
Joe pointed this out. There have been surprise entrants, right, in these ladder matches who didn't have to qualify and just show up. AEW likes to debut people at their pay-per-views. They like this stuff, right? There's a couple of free agents out there. There's a couple of confirmed signings.
Yep, Swerve is one.
Swerve.
What are the
But
odds?
okay.
Do you guys think that Swerve-
Ultimately, we have to wait till Wednesday. I know we're recording before the true go home show, so a lot could happen on Wednesday
Sure.
where they get off of the Buddy Matthews Pac track, and maybe something happens there where they end up doing a singles match on a pre-show type deal where it's just too bloodthirsty. Because that was a hell of they beat the crap out of each other on Wednesdays. So that should just be the match, I think. But so yeah, we could do like the Swerve thing's unconfirmed. Tony Khan said he's going to blow the world roof off of the place on Wednesday with a huge announcement. Who knows what that could mean? Cody's still lingering out there as a possibility.
I think the only person that would make me change my mind on Keith Lee would be Swerve.
Okay.
I think if Swerve shows up and he's in the match, I think he's really. I mean, obviously there could be like other surprises where it'd be like, oh, I wasn't thinking of that one. But I think of the people, the names that we've heard and stuff like that. I think if Swerve ends up being in the match, I might change my pick and run with Swerve because I feel like they have, at least according to the reports, they have like big time hopes for him, like not only as a wrestler, but like as a crossover type person for them.
And that's critical. That's critical
huge.
Since they lost Cody.
Yes, huge. So if it is Swerve or Swerve is a surprise or they change it up and he's in there, I would probably switch to Swerve. But other than that, I don't think anybody else could show up that would make me get off my Keith Lee pick. I think Keith Lee's there. We all know how good he is. You run with Keith Lee. Keith Lee.
I mean, if Hornswoggle shows up, then
maybe that's that's one of the ones I wasn't thinking of.
You know who you asked to be on the show, right, Warren?
Jesus. Put him against Danhausen for the rights to use the apartment under the ring.
There you go. That would be a fun match.
Swerve, the Swerve thing. I think I think that's he becomes even more critical for AEW because I'm not kidding. Since Cody left and Cody was established as having this appeal, right? Of having this appeal, right? Between between everyone. Between going over here and doing the Go Big show and having the reality show, like this is clearly something that was critical for them being AEW moving forward with TNT as a partner, saying we can also give you stars to cross pollinate with other shows because that's important for a network. Now Cody leaves and I talked about this on my show when Cody left. Like, who on the roster right now has that kind of appeal that you can just be like, and I'm hard pressed to find someone who fits that same type of, presence and charisma. You get a guy like Swerve in, Strickland, and on top of that, Strickland will appeal to a whole different audience.
Yep.
Than Cody will, and I think that makes him all the more appealing. And honestly, I think Strickland as an entertainer, as a persona, has a lot more to offer than Cody Rhodes, and that's not necessarily a shot at Cody because I thought I saw him do an episode. Like I'm not a fan of reality shows, so to me, Rhodes to the Top. I watched one episode, and I'm like, all right, and that's, I felt like it was a C-level reality show as far as reality shows go. Like it was, anyway. But being a panelist on the Go Big Home Show thing, I thought it was very good. And
I did too.
And he presents himself very well. He's very articulate. He's charismatic. But Swerve has, he has different types of attributes. Of course, his music skills on top of that. I think he appeals to a younger audience as well. Like there's something there that you could give Shane Strickland his own show, I think.
Oh yeah.
Doing
Owen is a huge fan of Hit Row.
Who's
we wanted
my son is a huge fan of Hit Row. He dances
Swerve actually
Swerve actually made him a part of the Hit Row army,
honorary Hit Row member. So
because I said awesome. we were watching him do his little dance on it, and then Swerve retweeted it and was like, that's awesome. But see, he's like, Hit Row's for the kids. So no, but I think he could and I'm saying that to put over Owen because Owen is a fan of our show, but like Swerve, like he can get the younger demographic in there because he's got that cool charisma, that cool feel to him, that vibe as you will. To just like he's fantastic in the ring. So
he's got so much goodwill now. He's got so much goodwill.
Because it wasn't his fault that didn't work.
No.
Nothing that he did in the WWE was his fault.
I remember PLUGGO. We would be on Beards and we had full shows when we were talking about Hit Row, and we'd be like, they should build NXT around Hit Row. Hit Row should be the central figures of this whole show. And then obviously what happened. But like this guy's money. He's money. Oh. He will be a star with his music. He is into the hip hop community. That is a community that love the people that are in that community. And if you can get that community supporting AEW and maybe starting to watch AEW, the ones that don't, and they like the show, that only helps. And that's a big community. It's just, he's a no-brainer. And he's somebody that whenever he shows up, he's going to get that rocket right away. So.
So we're all on the Keith Lee train here.
Yes, I think so.
Maybe Swerve showing up as a surprise. I think there'd be something fun there. We'll see what happens, but I do want to say hello to Floman, who also left a super chat. Thank you very much. Floman says Hook enters himself in the ladder match last minute and wins it immediately. He then celebrates by slamming 2 bags of Cool Ranch Doritos together.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Nice.
This is like a Stone Cold.
I changed my pick.
Hook.
I want to see that.
PLUGGO. If Hook was in this match, Hook would have been PLUGGO.
Yes, like I've said it 1,000 times. I don't think you can be a wrestling fan if you don't have a slight crush on Hook. Like he is just fantastic.
It's a little rough. It's a little rough if you. I think you're just in bad faith if you don't see anything in this kid.
Yeah, I think you're just. That's one of those people that they gravitate toward, like the AEW detractors that are like, "Oh, look at this!" Like you're just not watching. Like he
No.
has it. Like he just
dude.
he has it tenfold, and he's only 22.
Yeah. And he's had like 5 matches, and he's
Yeah.
one of the most over
They've
people.
built
in the
Rampage around him, and
they've built him as a main eventer, literally, like from a stature standpoint.
Sure.
They've treated him like one. He's got the special entrance. Oh my god, yeah.
Special.
He does. Every time the lights go out and Hook's fighting, it's like, oh, you can feel the crowd.
When the lights go out, I'm always like, is it Sabu?
Well, yeah, because they do that a lot. They
did that a lot this week. They're like, lights on, off, on, off, off. I feel bad for the lighting guy.
But I love how
that cue?
Yeah, for the segment that the last segment he was involved when they just kept the music playing the whole time that he was doing his thing. So the music is just behind him, and he's like, yeah, I'm cool as shit. I know I am. So whatever. You all know it too. So that's like
Team Hook, baby.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dr. Britt Baker defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Thunder Rosa. I have thoughts on this, but I want to hear you guys first. I don't know which one of you two wants to tackle this one to begin with.
Don't put me on the spot. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker's like that's the match I'm most looking forward to on the card.
I would love this to main event.
Yeah,
it won't, but I would love this to main event.
Huge Thunder Rosa fan. As you can see, I got the Thunder Rosa Warrior Wrestling t-shirt on today for this. That match they had back at the St. Patrick's Bash, Slam, whatever you want to call it, was all-timer.
It's an iconic one at this point.
Iconic at this point. I don't think there's any two ways about it. Both of them together, I think, is a fantastic. They look like they legitimately hate each other, which I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it works, and that's what you want. You want this vitriol and this disdain for each other, and they've kept Rosa away longer than I think they should have, but I think it worked. And that's why I'm sitting here and I don't have the pen, because I would have already cashed this in.
So for me, I'm hoping that I want this to continue past this. Right. Like I want this to be like kind of like I would not mind, regardless of who we pick to win when we'll talk about it in a few minutes. I wouldn't mind this to be a rematch at Double or Nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want this to go on a little bit longer, because I do agree with you, Pluggo. I do think for me, as much as the first match was iconic, it was my match of the year, one of my matches of the year last year. It was our match of the year. Yeah. I do feel like they kept her away for so long from Britt, and then it's just been kind of, all right, we're doing this at Revolution. Let's get there. And like, yes, we all want to see the match, because why the hell would we not want to see the match after the one match we've seen with them? We all want Thunder Rosa versus Britt for the title. That's what we want. But I do feel like they were like, all right, we're gonna hold off, and then boom, here we got 3 weeks. Let's go. And it's like, hey, don't get me wrong, match is gonna be killer. I want it to be the main event of the show. But I don't want them to just have this match and then they're away from each other again. Like I want it. Let this be the start of the second part of their feud. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. I know. That's just how I feel. I do feel like.
Well, I think you're feeling that way. Let me be a psychologist. No, according to Freud, no, I think you're feeling this way because the match feels cold, and we're going to be complete. I'm being completely brutally honest. I think this match feels cold, and there is no reason that this match should be cold. This should be the second hottest match on the card, easily.
100%.
If not first. But just like you said, it's as if at some point they're like, let's just do this. Now, they've been setting seeds. They've been building towards it very, very slowly, letting things happen, right? But this is the money match for the women's division, and it has been since March 2021. Why, in God's green flat earth, aren't they establishing this as a top-tier level feud where they've had a proper build, doing exciting shit week after week after week? Why did we have to settle for a fucking contract signing, which, by the way, even though my love of contract signings is legendary at this point, It was the most formulaic, weak sauce, milk toast contract signing you could even hope for. Like even the one where Kenny Omega signed his in blood, I was like, okay, well that's at least something. Here was just like the most average shit, and there is nothing average about Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. There is nothing average about Thunder Rosa, period. Thunder Rosa, wherever she goes, gets a huge reaction. Last August, when I was on my field trip in the Midwest and I saw like 3 or 4 wrestling shows, I saw her 3 times. And every time the place came unglued. I'm talking with Anakin and on the MrWarrenHayes Discord, he says, Thunder Rosa now owns the Road Warrior pop. And I'm like, I agree. Wherever she goes, people are just like, yes, fuck yeah. And that's all on her.
Yep.
There is zero reason for this match to not have had a proper build, to get excited about it, if only on the heels of what they did for this women's division a year ago. It's ridiculous. It is, and this right here is the biggest missed opportunity I think that AEW has stumbled into. I think it's the worst. It is the most most poorly built pay-per-view match to a feud that everyone wants and everyone was excited for. Yeah. Because it is the only match here that the women's division has this kind of excitement around. So as you can tell, I'm annoyed and pissed off.
Are you happy about it? We're excited because I'm excited because of the competitors, but both are fantastic. Sure. Tony Khan definitely. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I don't have any insight into that. But I know when he took the pen exclusively, like I know Kenny was overseeing the women's division early on, and there was another voice. And sometimes I feel like he forgets about them. Like you said, like you see it constantly on AEW, and that's my one big gripe I've had. Is it's 9:15, so let's get the 3 women's segments out of the way.
The women's quarter hour, sure.
Right, and I feel like you should make this a bigger deal. It should be huge. It should be co-main eventing this pay-per-view off of what they did. Had they not did what they did at the St. Patrick's Day Smash, maybe you can argue that it's not a co-headlining thing. But what they did was they put the women's division on the map and made an iconic moment, and now you're throwing it away and just saying, "Oh, yep, we're gonna do it." Yeah, it should co-main event this pay-per-view.
I think it should be and again, this goes to what Warren just said, is because they dropped the ball here big time. This should be the main event. This should be the match that everybody wants to see the most on the card, because the only other time we've seen it is a match that'll be talked about forever throughout the whole history of AEW. It's an iconic. It made Britt Baker, and Britt lost that match. Thunder Rosa beat her.
And it made the division on top of that. And suddenly you're like, holy shit, okay. Now we're cooking with gas, right?
Yes, 100%. And that's why I'm like, hey, I want this to, okay, when they're both in the ring and we know that they're going to be like, it's going to be great. Like Pluggo and you said, like, it's going to be great. It deserves more roses, no pun intended, heading towards the story. It deserves a proper build to where everyone's like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I want to see these two again. And I feel like, yes, everyone's like, oh, all right. I feel like they look at this card and they go, oh, all right, we got, this. Oh, and Britt Baker's fighting Thunder Rosa. That's cool. And it should be like we got Revolution coming up. Yeah, Britt Baker's fighting Thunder Rosa. That should be what we're talking about.
They shouldn't have to, they shouldn't have to prove it again. I feel like that's what's happening here. Do it again, and then we'll do it. But I feel like they did it once. They knocked it out of the park. Why? And I feel like maybe that's where Tony, because he gets these new shiny toys like the Buddy Matthews of the worlds and the Swerves and the shit, and that's all great. But he gets, and then whatever he's got planned for Wednesday. So he's got all his fingers in all these different pies, and he's doing all this different stuff. And it's like, oh shit, I got to put on a killer women's match too. Like, but you have Thunder freaking Rosa and Britt Baker, 2 of the best women in the world. This should be Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels type feud. Yeah. Like, it should be like, this should be their Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Like, we want to keep seeing it, and you should be building it as like this. And they didn't, but I'm still excited for it. I ain't gonna act like I'm not excited for it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love who I'm seeing.
It has
But
nothing to do with the women.
I shouldn't have to be excited just because it's Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. I should also be excited because it's Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, and they're telling an incredible story to lead up to it.
That's a good point. I would like AEW to show me that they're excited for this match too.
Yeah.
I would just as much as they're excited for me to watch CM Punk and MJF. Because clearly I have to be excited for that one because they want me to be excited. They should be excited for this one. Now, I've seen arguments where it's like, well, everyone already loves both of them. Why would you? But flip that around. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't
we already
you go
love
hard?
CM Punk and MJF, but they're also putting a super competitive. Like, yes, you can only live off of this is a cool dream match for so long. You have to also show me that you're into it. Like that's just that's like a podcast. You want people to watch.
Yes, you want people to invest in this match. Well, you need to show me that you, the company, is also invested in this match.
And it's like I've been saying, I think since I started doing wrestling, if you want your women's division to feel important, you have to make it look important, because that's the only way that people are going to be like, oh, I need to be invested in this. Okay, I get it. Because if you don't, you're going to be, okay. Otherwise, you turn into it. If the promotion doesn't back a wrestler, and just if they don't get behind it, why would you be invested in that wrestler, right? If they don't get invested in them. Same thing with your women's division. Like make it feel important, and people will treat it like a big deal. That's all.
Because I think the tired argument of the AEW women's division just doesn't have enough talent. It
has the
talent out because it has
plenty of talent.
It is there.
Plenty.
There is so much good in that division. They just need to figure out how to showcase it much better.
And it's wild that we're still kind of at this situation, I don't understand it. It's so weird to me. Want to thank SLRMM82 for your subscription. I appreciate it, man. I want to say hello to Jonas Tiger as well. Look, despite all of that, because that's the kind of thing that really grinds my gears. And, Rosa, if you're watching this, we think you're fantastic. We really do, because there's no one there's no one out there that does half of what she does as good as she does. I think now, if we come back to the match, I think Thunder Rosa is going to win this match, folks. And I'm going to tell you why. Because as talented as the division is, it is still extremely thin. And right now there is no one left for Britt. There's no one left for Britt.
Yep. I agree. Ran through it all.
I
think Thunder Rosa wins as well. And I think that gives Britt someone to chase, because she needs to do something different, because she's beat everybody.
And she can take some time off too.
Yeah.
Because literally Britt has been at this for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, she hasn't had any time off.
And she has been carrying the division. She has been the division for a long time. And I think this is inevitable. We just said it, Thunder Rosa is the only logical person to take the belt off of Britt, because there's no one bigger. There's no one more credible in the company right now to do it. So the division is in good hands with Thunder Rosa at the top. Britt can take a little break. Let Jamie Hayter do her things with Mercedes Martinez, which I'm super into, by the way.
And Britt's going to be, Thunder Rosa is going to be a fighting champion. So that's just who she is. And so, she gets her moment. She gets the big title change here. Britt's held the title for a long time now. She can get, lose it. And like you said, take some time off or go focus on other things. And it's not going to be long before she's right back at the top again. And it gives Thunder Rosa the chance to have that title, have some cool matches with some of that talent we haven't seen a ton of yet, or some new faces fighting Rosa. And Thunder Rosa is going to have great matches with these people because she has great matches. That's what she does. And I just think that's how you build your division from a depth standpoint, is by having someone like a Thunder Rosa be that champion. They did it with Sheeta for a little. I thought Sheeta was a good champion too, but like that type of fighting champion that's going to fight new people, going to have good matches with people that okay, this is someone to look at in the future here too. So, but I have Thunder Rosa winning the belt as well. That's also my pick.
Jonas Tiger in the chat pulls up a very good point. He says, Serena Deeb is credible enough, but not as big as Rosa. But see, they're building her as the threat, as the invincible heel. This is not a mistake, you know. As much as I'm deploring how they're handling the build to this specific match, I think Rosa has a wonderful rogues gallery of heels because they're going hard on Nyla again. They're like, seriously, Serena Deeb right now, one of the best things on Dynamite, bar none. So
one of my favorite gimmicks.
It's going to be great when she and Rosa inevitably start locking up. It's going to be great.
But I think that's a tell right there too, that they're building back up some of these monster heels because it's time for Rosa, the over babyface, to get her shine.
Sure.
And Britt put that title on the map. No disrespect to the Shitas, Rihos, and Nylas, but like Britt made that title legit.
There's no
and
argument.
It's time for her to just hand it over. There's no shame in taking an L, because guess what? She's going to get it back at some point. She's going to be a multiple-time champion.
She's going to become the Charlotte of AEW.
Yeah.
But we're going to hopefully people like her.
Yeah. And not to get too ahead of things. When someone mentions
people like Charlotte too.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
A lot of people hate on Charlotte these days.
I'm very pro Charlotte. I think she's more.
I love Charlotte. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
People just don't like getting worked. They don't realize they're getting worked.
Exactly.
They don't like it.
When you talk about Deeb, like stuff like that, you have Thunder Rosa win. They build to that, and maybe Deeb is a threat or a challenger, and maybe Deeb eventually down the line wins that title, and then you have a Shida and Deeb match for a title. You know, like that's how you progress the title and the division.
Look at how brilliant the Serena Deeb booking has been, because you've got two built-in feuds for her. You've got her lining herself up to be the #1 contender for the AEW World's Women's Championship. And then when Hikaru Shida comes back from her excursion over an ice ribbon, boom, straight into Shida comes back and beats the shit out of her. You've got a feud immediately. Like, it's brilliant. You've got two things ready to go for Serena Deeb. And why? Well, because they've been booking her as a big deal, guys. That's what I've been saying all along. You book her as a big deal, people are going to see her as a big deal.
Yep.
Is that how that works? I thought you just had a 50.
It sounds so simple because it is.
This is what I like to say. I'm not going to pretend that booking a wrestling show is simple because of all these fucking egos that you have to deal with, right? There is no one in wrestling that doesn't have an ego, okay? At some point, you're out for yourself. That's the nature of the business. But at some point, you have to go with what's right there, right? You just go and you just do the simplest things, and usually it's the simplest things that work.
Yep.
The more you overthink it, the dumber it gets.
Mm-hmm. Some of the best stories ever told in professional wrestling were the simple, what everyone knew was going to happen. They were just executed perfectly.
There you go.
And that's what made them great.
I want to say hello to Darnell Anglade. I'm glad. No. Nice to see you, Darnell. Welcome to the chat. CM Punk versus MJF.
Yeah.
Nothing really exciting.
Nothing big happened or anything like that, right?
Let's move on. Oh my God, that's a good story. Like we talk about for a couple of minutes. I'm sure.
Go ahead.
You said earlier that the Mox Danielson stuff has been the most compelling stuff for you. I think in totality, I would agree. But this past Wednesday, the MJF promo with CM Punk coming down, that to me was some of the most that was as compelling a segment of storytelling that I have seen in a
very nuanced.
Unbelievable. There were layers and the depth in it, and it was. MJF has had a lot of good moments on the mic. He's had a lot of good promos. It might have been his finest work that we've seen as in a promo, because you saw a side of him that we didn't know he had. Like we saw a sympathetic. That was real stuff that he was talking about. Like that really happened to him. And he was talking about anti-Semitism and like things like that. Like that's real. That's real stuff. And that moment with the quarters and things like that, that really happened to him in real life. And when he was telling the story, you know how good it was? When he was telling the story in the ring and he started talking about the people throwing the quarters and whipping them, there was a segment loud enough that you could hear of fans that were literally clapping. Like, oh, well, you're a piece of crap. You good. I'm glad that happened to you.
That's the thing.
Like that, you could hear the, like, not a big segment, but there was enough to hear of people going like, yeah, whatever, you deserve it, you piece of crap, you know? And then by the end, nobody was cheering for the stuff he was saying. Everybody was bought in like, oh man, this is, you know, and he turned it around on CM Punk. He turned it around. He said, hey guys, I'm not a super duper comic book person, but I know enough about comic books. He told us his villain origin story.
Yep.
And the origin story was, I'm who I am because my hero quit on me.
Yep.
That's who I am. I'm this way because this guy left me hanging when I needed him the most. So it might have been a Friday to you, Punk, but that was everything to me. And then you just left.
It's CM Punk's Spider-Man moment where, you know, does he choose the bus or Mary Jane? You know?
Correct.
That's essentially what it is.
It was so good. It was just so good. And then Punk coming out and, you know, was that true? Is this real? Like, not believe. He had one fist still clenched by his side. Like, yeah, I still don't trust you.
I'm just ready.
But like, is this true? And then they showed the camera with the one tear on MJF. He's like, yeah, it's true. And it was like, oh my God, it was masterful. It was a masterful segment.
The spray tan running down his face.
Wow, Pluggo.
You know,
what are we doing with this Pluggo?
What are we doing with what? What are we doing with this? What are we doing with it? I'm gonna sit and watch it. That's what I'm doing with it. No, I think it was well done. I think like JPJ hit all the good points on it, but you took a promo a week prior where you had MJF speechless. Didn't say anything. Came out, you're like, you're ready for it, walked away. Essentially, MJF flips it on Punk, does the same thing. Essentially, Punk is speechless. These two, they have been building, and then the last two promos are them just cutting promos and there's no rebuttal. That's amazing to me. That's fantastic work. And the Punk stuff is true. Like, I am a CM Punk fan. He is my favorite. He was the reason I enjoyed wrestling. And he took his ball and he left. And MJF said, you were my guy, and you left and essentially didn't say why, basically pretended that you were bigger than the sport, and said, actually he acted like he was bigger than the sport, saying, I don't ever need to go back to it. It is what it is. I'm done with it. And didn't give those fans of his their due and a real explanation outside of, you know what, the Colt Cabana interview. But even then it was like, it was all WWE's fault, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Like he never truly answered to the real fan. Like, and MJF presented that argument as a real fan. Like, hey, I'm not talking about the company. I'm not talking about the fans that, you know, give you crap all the time, give you shit. I'm talking about, you were a hero. Like, what about us? What about these fans that literally idolized you and looked up to what you were doing? You left us too. And we haven't heard an I'm sorry. We haven't heard a real reason. Like, you just kind of left us. And I think presenting it from that angle was just like such a layer on top of, we know they hate each other, but it was such a deep layer of why MJF feels this way to him that it was just, man, it was just brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff.
I think I think we.
Did we lose Pluggo?
I think he'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be
back.
But
the by the way, I want to say hi to Kurt Norse and AEW Italy section. Nice to see you.
Hey,
welcome to the chat.
Italy.
So ultimately, right? Here's the thing. I'm thinking that this, you know, the promos, like, I think what was best about the promo that he cut on Wednesday, the best part of it was the fact that it was unexpected, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, I am not excited. I was not excited, and I'm still not excited at the idea of MJF and CM Punk having a rematch. That's something I'm really looking forward to, because I felt, look, their match was incredible. Just an exciting, fantastic match. But I'm still torn at the idea of them continuing the story. Sure, the story's good, but couldn't we have just like snapped it and moved on?
Yeah, I think so. They could have definitely. I thought. Yeah, for me, it was kind of like MJF got the win. Technically, beat him twice in the same night. Hey, there he is. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I don't even know what to say anymore, man.
It's okay.
Jesus
MJF
Christ.
beat him twice in the same match. It was in Chicago. That is a signature win. Punk's first. Yeah, it's a signature win in Chicago. Punk's first main event. I agree. Like, I don't think they necessarily needed to fight again, even though how great Wednesday was and how, that was like universally praised what happened this past Wednesday. An universally, awesome, as it should be. Just incredible.
Right in my wheelhouse type of match. Too.
But I would agree with you, Warren. I don't think this is a rematch that they necessarily had to do. I think they could have just been like, oh, MJF got the best of him. If Punk wants to have a rematch at some point, he's got to kind of work his way back to it. You know what I mean?
Revisit this, right? Like,
exactly.
Punk,
and it would have been something
MJF
where
2 down the line would have been
incredible. Yeah. Like, if there was a 4 or 5 month gap, let's say by the time we get to Double or Nothing, MJF maybe beats Hangman or whoever it is to win the title, because I think that should be I think he should be the next champion. Personally, MJF. If that happens, then you have Punk and MJF 2, and it's for the AEW heavyweight title. And then that is just, the stakes have risen 1,000%. You know what I mean? Like, instead, and it could still be Punk MJF 3. You could still do that, but it's a little less luster in that if you just had MJF get that win in the way that he did, cheating, as you would expect a piece of shit like him to do. Then you got Punk working his way back, and then not only is he finally getting his rematch with this guy, but it's for the title, or it's for down the line, and it's like, holy moly, like, this is, instead of, all right, let's just do it again, And again, I expect the match to be very, very good. The story for me has been entertaining, and there's been definitely highlights. This past Wednesday was one of them. Like, but it is something that I don't think they needed to do currently. Like, right now, I don't think so. They could have.
The dog collar stuff is interesting. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
PLUGGO, do you have any thoughts?
Just kidding. I was. Yeah.
He's speaking like he's got a mealy mouth.
I think, like you said, I don't think he needed to revisit it so soon. I loved the idea of MJF having these wins over Punk. I loved the idea of him having the wins over Jericho. I thought he was the guy that he's like, because he can use that for the rest of his career and be like, I beat Punk, I beat Jericho, and they couldn't get to me. So I don't want to see them 50-50 MJF in this situation. So I want to see MJF win. I think if Punk wins, though, he's going to have to do something just outside of, like, it's going to have to be some shit. Like, he's going to have to get into the shit with him. It's a dog collar match. But, I mean, it's going to have to be some heelish type, like, where we feel bad for MJF. But MJF still is MJF. And I think he's going to win.
I was going to pose the question of, do we think maybe this is where, because I personally, and I know we're going to get into it, I personally think, and this is another worry of mine, you just said it, PLUGGO, I think CM Punk's going to win this match. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think that's what they should do, but I think he's going to win this match. And my question to both of you would be, do we think this is where Wardlow maybe gets involved to the point where we see this is the demise, the final demise that we've been building to, that I think at the end of the day, MJF is going to be shown at Revolution to be the piece of shit that we all think he is. I think what happened on Wednesday, we're going to find out that mind games. He's the piece of shit that we all know he is. He's going to be just an extra big piece of shit now because of he made us all feel bad for him. He made us all
cry.
Correct. But I do think at the end of the day, like, MJF's going to be MJF, and MJF is a slimy heel bastard. That's what he is. And but I could see Yes, I could see Wardlow. Maybe Wardlow knows that MJF's full of shit, or maybe something. But is this the time that we see Wardlow break, and maybe he helps CM Punk win? Because CM Punk did address Wardlow a couple promos ago, saying, "Hey, how long you gonna stand up for this guy? They treat you like crap. Why are you there? You should be doing other things." So like that has been addressed of CM Punk knowing like, hey, Wardlow, you're better than this.
Mhm.
Why can't you see you're better than this? Is that something that we think? And then maybe then you move Wardlow and MJF is the double or nothing kind of next big feud, because that is the next big feud for MJF is going to be Wardlow. They're going to, and they've been booking it to be that. Do we see that now, or do you think that's something that hopefully I want MJF to win again and beat Punk for a second time, but do we think possibly I could easily see them, as much as I hate the term 50-50ing, I could easily see them getting Punk's win back with some chicanery or tomfoolery or something crazy happening.
I think that with how everything is set up right now, I really I don't see all that many people getting involved in this match for some bizarre reason. Like, I think this is going to be fairly clean, like as clean as a dog collar match can be, right?
Yeah.
But I think the outcome is going to be fairly clean. And look, ran a poll. 75% of the chat think that CM Punk is going to win. I hope he doesn't, because I'm with you.
I hope he doesn't either.
Because I'm a big proponent of MJF being this quintessential heel, the new guy who's taken over, who's defeating the old guard, right? We didn't need the extra Jericho MJF match. We didn't need it. We honestly didn't. Why? So that Jericho could feel like he had one win over him? Like, I don't understand. Because it was perfect. Everything was perfect. It was like, MJF leaves this feud saying, Chris Jericho couldn't get one on top of me. You know what I want here? CM Punk couldn't get one on top of me. That's what I want. Because that's what makes sense for MJF moving forward. It's like, the old guys the legends, they can't even beat me. And he should be able to carry that. That should be part of what MJF moving forward is, as far as his wrestling career goes. That's what makes the most sense. Now, if they do decide to have CM Punk win, there has to be a rubber match. There has to be. Because it cannot finish in a 50-50 situation where one guy has one win and MJF has to win the rubber match. He just has to. Like, there's no other outcome for this match, for this feud, than MJF coming on top of CM Punk. Because you know what? Who were we saying earlier? Jericho, right? If Jericho loses to Eddie Kingston, it doesn't matter. It's still Chris Jericho. It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
Yep.
CM Punk
100%.
loses. They're still going to go nuts for him. We're still happy to have him around.
I agree.
I mean,
And a loss here gets you back closer to one step to like the CM Punk like heel type stuff.
Starting to get angry.
Getting angry. Like
the welcome tour is coming to an end.
Yes, because I mean that's all fun and great, but that's not why we fell in love with CM Punk, because he's glad-handed and shaking
we fell in love with
hand.
CM Punk because he was anti-establishment, like F you, I'm going to do my thing.
But here's the problem, right? This is the issue, because we don't have the voice of the voiceless CM Punk anymore, because the voiceless have a voice, and it's called AEW. Everyone who didn't care about what was happening in WWE now have their promotion. So what is, like, CM Punk doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to be anti-establishment with AEW, because AEW is already the alternative. It's already the fuck you to Vince.
That makes sense.
That's what it is.
Yeah. You're right, Warren.
What's his next step? So that's the thing. It's like, but I understand that's not what got people behind CM Punk. It was that energy that he had, where he was just like flipping everybody off and exposing, John Cena for being John Cena, for Triple H being an asshole, for Vince being an asshole, Johnny Ace being an asshole. That's why we liked them. But as it stands right now,
his next step should have been Cody, but I don't know what's because they teased that.
Sure.
Yeah, that last Cody promo he was talking about. That's where I thought, I'm like, they're going to have a CM Punk Cody.
But then he's
I'm
not
cool
there.
With that, but he's not there. So.
I'll have it at Warrior Wrestling. It's like or something. GCW.
GCW. Cody versus Punk.
Like what world are we living in right now? So who do we pick? Who are we picking here? Honestly, I'm picking MJF because I think that this is the outcome of the feud. This has to be.
I'm taking MJF as well because I think it should be. And so there he is. He's gonna do it. He's gonna take Punk. He's gonna do it. Do it.
Well, I'm torn because I want MJ. I think the right decision is MJF winning, and maybe it's the old WWE thinking of me being taught this way of booking for so long. But I'm going with the Chad. I think I'm going to be the contrarian and pick CM Punk.
All right.
Oh,
I
feel like for most of the show we've all agreed. So I feel like this is one of the few disagreements.
So
there's that one
good for business.
The Mox Danielson match. We were kind of things.
Yeah. I took Marco Stunt in that one.
If I'm okay with CM Punk winning, if this is not the end, and we get a rubber match, that will appease WarrenHayes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'll be flipping tables.
Would you? So, if it were to happen, CM Punk wins, whether it's Wardlow related or he just wins, he just gets his win back. Would you want the rubber match to be soon? You would want it to be right away, like soon. Like what if they broke away? Like what if let's just say it's a Wardlow thing. Wardlow, then MJF's like, hey, I'm not done with you, but I got to deal with this. They move away, and then all of a sudden, let's say MJF becomes the champion. Are you okay to down the line the rubber match being then for the title? Or would you want no, they're 1-1. We need the rubber match within the next 3-4 weeks on Dynamite or something.
I need a rubber match sooner than that.
Yeah,
I need a rubber match sooner than that. If MJF wins and they want to revisit with CM Punk in a few months,
down the line,
9 months, a year, I'm
because that would also make sense too if it is if MJF is the champion or something. But hey, I already beat you twice, buddy. I don't got you. I already beat you twice. Why don't you prove it to me that you deserve a shot? And then that's the Punk story,
And isn't that fantastic? And isn't that the most MJF thing?
It should be.
It's something you'd want to see. You want to see him be slimy and be like, I beat you twice, pal. See,
heels usually try to duck. They try to duck challenges. You want your heels to be slimy, and CM Punk down the line, if he were to lose this match next week, down the line being like, hey, I think I'm ready for my AEW championship match, and MJF being like, oh, well, I don't. So I beat you twice. So you got to. I don't think you're ready for it. I've already proven to you that you're not ready for me. So tough luck, bud.
But look, regardless, I'm even of the opinion that CM Punk doesn't even have to sniff the world title picture. You know what I mean? He could, but he doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in Pro Wrestling Noah, they've got 50-year-olds in their winning world championships. They got last year, 2021, they had Kaiji Muto, the great Muta, as the world champion for the better part of the year. Muta's knees are completely shot. He has no cardio. He can't go. And Noah is a promotion where guys just, it's the work rate promotion. It's the stiff promotion where people are just laying into each other. These huge kicks and vicious forearms, and they're still standing. And you're going to tell me that Kaiji Muto drops an elbow and it knocks a dude out? And a couple of weeks ago, that younger dude was on another show with another guy, and they were kicking each other legitimately in the face, and he was still fighting. And Kaiji Muto was going to drop an elbow and, no, fuck off, Now their two main titles are held by guys who are in their 50s. It's the equivalent of saying, let's put the world title on Sting immediately. You don't need that. That's not what Sting is there for. And I don't think you need the world title on CM Punk. You could. I wouldn't be against it, but you don't need that.
Sure.
CM
Punk should be in this spot that he's in right here, having feuds with younger people, making them superstars near the top of the card.
Exactly.
I would be shocked if this isn't the match right before the main event or somewhere in that level. That's what it's going to be. this is what he came in to fight Darby for a reason, putting young people over, young stars that have already been, that are over in the AEW viewership and company. CM Punk is in a different level. He's CM Punk. He's top of the wrestling world guy. He comes in and his feuds are with Darby and MJ. Like, this is what he should be doing. This is what he should be doing. So,
main event. 9 matches.
Yeah.
Big card.
Adam Page.
Stacked.
What's that?
It's a stacked card.
Oh, God.
9 is big time.
My God. AEW World Championship. The champion, Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole. Too many Adams. I suggest Adam Cole changes his name to Buddy Cole.
Then there's too many buddies.
There's too many buddies. So then you change Buddy Matthews' name to Bryan Matthews. Now there's too many Bryans.
No.
Yeah. Too many Cages, too many Adams, too many, there's just
too
much.
You just
have an Adam on a pole match. You just have a contract, go right to the name, you do an Adam on a pole. Yeah. That's my name.
Cole versus Page. You don't even give them first names anymore.
Oh, that interesting technique.
Yeah. I wonder, never heard that.
So instead of getting rid of the last names, we're going to get rid of
first names.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cole versus Page. Oh shit, which Page?
I don't know.
So
good shit, pal.
So the talking point that a lot of people have been talking about, because it's a talking point, I guess, has Adam Page's championship run been lackluster or not? Gentlemen, debate.
I wouldn't say lackluster in, like, I think what he's done has been phenomenal. I just don't think it's been enough. Like when Omega had the title, he was on every single week in some kind of spot doing something, but there are times that we just don't see Adam Page on screen, or if it is, it's very minuscule stuff. It's not like, so I wouldn't say, like I said, because I think the stuff he did with Danielson was awesome. That match he had with Lance Archer was fantastic. And I think he's playing it up as, I want to be out here every week. I want to be doing stuff. They're just not, I don't know what it is. I don't know why Tony Khan doesn't feel like, because everybody loves Adam Page. He was the one from the beginning that we thought was going to be the world champion. Why you're not featuring him more? He's incredibly over. He's fantastic. He's hitting all the right points, and we're just like, it's like an afterthought almost. Like this isn't even the biggest match on this card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like not even close.
I also think the moment of Hangman winning the title was a 3-year story. So that moment was so gigantic of a moment that, and I agree. Lackluster, I think, is strong. I agree more with what Pluggo said. I don't think it's been lackluster. I think the things that he's been involved in have been good. Like the Lance Archer stuff was what it was. Like, everyone knew he wasn't going to lose to Lance Archer, but the match itself was a brutal, entertaining match. So it is what it is. But like the 2 matches with Danielson were excellent. The second one I thought was better than the hour draw by far a little bit, but like they were both really, really good matches. I expect this match with the caliber of these 2 gentlemen to be excellent. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say lackluster, but I think the moment of him winning the title was so long in the making and such a special moment. Like that's a moment that AEW will hit and bank on for throughout the history of AEW. And I think almost anything afterwards was going to feel like a letdown, because that moment of him winning was so, the chase was just so good and long and layered. It was excellent storytelling and lasted over 2 years. So I think that's kind of part of it as well, as I feel like that moment happened. We were like, holy crap, it happened. He's the champion. And then it was kind of like, well, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And the Adam Cole, on the other hand, absolutely lackluster. I mean, he's over goofing off with his friends. What a bum! Why would you want to ever goof off with your friends?
Why would you put your world title on someone that's so small? He's tiny, like a dad bod.
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You want to? The wrestling community has a terrible understanding of what a dad bod is.
They really do.
I would kill for an Adam Cole dad bod.
Jesus Christ, right? It's like it's like, oh, is that a dad bod? Sweet. Or it's like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah. For real. Unbelievable. I do feel like this past Wednesday on Dynamite, I felt, and we talked about it earlier with the Kingston Jericho stuff for me. I do feel like the segment that they had at the end of the Battle Royal this past Wednesday on Dynamite was a segment that fully made me like, okay, I want to see this match. I mean, obviously I want to see the match. I love both the guys. Adam Cole is one of my favorites in the world.
Sure.
And I love Hangman. But so it's one of those things, and this is what AEW does. Like regardless of the stories, like I know the match is going to be good. I know what I'm preparing to watch. It's going to be a fantastic match. I do feel like this past Wednesday was the first time where that segment happened at the end of the Battle Royal, and I was like, okay, I want to see this match now. That was the one that sold me the ticket to wanting to see that match, and that's just kind of how I feel. I feel like it was kind of like, oh, Adam Cole's going to be the next guy. They're positioning him. Hasn't done a ton, but like they're positioning him. He cut a good promo 2 weeks ago. And then last week they did that segment where they kind of got a little bit physical. And I love seeing Hangman come out with the Bucks out there again, because we haven't seen them a ton since Hangman's become. So I love that. And I love the Bucks kind of being like, yeah, have at it, buddy. Here, beat up Adam Cole's friends, like all you, brother. And it's just, the layer, again, storytelling. AEW is good with layering their stuff. It makes sense. And that is what got me like invested. Like, not only do I know that match is going to be good, but now I want to see it. So.
And of course, Adam Cole, the Bucks had mentioned like anybody but Paige. Like we don't want to mess with that. So that adds the new wrinkle. Like, where do your if Adam Cole wins this thing, where's your allegiances lie with the Young Bucks? And then the Young Bucks, when Kenny comes back, will have to answer to like, where are your allegiances? Are you with Adam Cole now? Or you were with me? Like, it's good stuff. It's good stuff, and I hope the match delivers as much as the story has for me so far. That's all I can say. And I hope they don't get too crazy with having Red Dragon come out and the Bucks and then Dark Order, and it gets too convoluted as it has on TV so far. I really just want to see these two just go at it for 20 minutes, and a winner is a winner. And then they tell the story afterwards.
Yeah. And I know he had the interview with Meltzer, and I believe it was said, they were aiming for a February return for Omega, but it got kind of delayed a little bit. Do we think there's a chance that we see a returning Omega somewhere, maybe not in a physical capacity, but like showing up at the end or whatever, with all these figures that he's very much, once he comes back, he's going to be in the middle of? Do we potentially think that that's on the table?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like if they're working us, like, I think sometimes wrestling fans take a lot of interviews and stuff that wrestlers say too literally, and forget that wresslers lie.
Yeah.
No,
they do at work.
They do.
That's part of the. Yeah.
It's part of the.
This is real. This is real.
Real to me. Damn it.
Damn it, Warren.
Sorry. Here's there. I just pulled the blinds, and the blinds all came down. And then you get like this gleam of pure white light. No, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, here's the last few pay-per-views, right, have always finished on these very high, very exciting, very newsworthy events, right?
Except for last year's
Revolution. I said the last few, right?
Yeah, the last few.
Yeah.
Jesus, you gotta be precise on everything, right? No nuance in anything.
It's hard to work with this guy, Warren.
God damn, man.
It's hard.
So that's one thing that's been racking my brain, is like, what could you do that would be like a holy shit moment, not unlike Adam Cole and Danielson debuting on the same night, not unlike that. I mean, that's hard to top, right? Let's be honest. Yeah. But Hangman Page winning the title, holy shit, it's like, So what is your here? What is the thing that when everything comes to an end, unless, like, it could be just the strength of the match, where you see something that just absolutely blows your mind, because we know Page and we know Cole have it in them to just deliver something mind-blowing. We know that they're both world class, both of them. So we know there's something there. And I think they have a lot to prove. I think both of them have a lot to prove in this match because of the rumblings about Page's thing. Can Adam Page have a good match without Kenny Omega, without Bryan Danielson? Because let's be honest, it's hard to not have a 5-star match.
Right.
Correct.
With Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So can he do it?
I'd at least get 3 stars.
Yeah, Danielson could carry me to a 2.
Yeah, you know.
You know, I'd weigh him down. Like I'd weigh him down.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know. He's doing shit, and I'm like, "Ow, Daniel, stop! What are you doing?"
Get off me.
And I, you know, you'd think that a guy like Adam Cole as well would probably have a lot to prove too, because you know he's in for the long haul. He came in on a proper salary. Like, I'm sure he's not making $25 an appearance. You know, it's like he has to prove his salt as well. I think an undercurrent of this is how much both of these guys have to prove, because you don't have Kenny Omega in this. You don't have CM Punk. You don't have Bryan Danielson. You don't have John Moxley. You don't have like the big the names that you're usually associating with 5-star match.
Yep.
You've got 2 guys who are world championship, world class material, main eventing without any of the sure values, I guess, you know. I think there's going to be a lot of hunger. There's going to be a lot of that in this match from both of these guys, because I kind of think both of these guys have a little chip on their shoulder. They want to show Tony. It's like, Tony, stop playing with your fucking action figures and look at us.
Well, for Page, he got that moment with the 60-minute time limit draw, but we were more impressed with, everybody was talking about, we were just surprised he could go 60 minutes. It wasn't on his morals, right? Yeah, so to your point, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of hunger. 2 guys, and Adam Cole has a lot to prove leaving the WWE. Let's be honest, he was a made man there. Like, he had all
he had a great manager spot waiting for him.
I was going to say, he was going to be a manager. Like, he was.
Yeah, and I mean, he could have hung out with Keith Lee. That would have been great.
Yeah.
I met NXT. You stick, not coming back at me. Like,
that NXT.
Listen,
dead,
I was
brother.
talking about NXT. You know, he was a made man, but no, but he has his detractors. Oh, you know, he's just the next WWE guy. So he'll show out. It's going to be good.
So, Warren, you were saying, like, what's going to be that moment at the end of the show? And we're going to talk about who we think is going to win, but do we think the moment could be Red Dragon and Adam Cole having all the gold standing across from the Young Bucks and a returning Kenny Omega in the ring? Is that an moment? Again, I don't want to disservice Hangman, because I love Hangman. But AEW, and this has been a story too, is AEW so far in their young history, they've only had 4 world champions. They've all had long reigns. And there hasn't been a short. I do too, but there hasn't been a shorter reign of a champion yet. Hangman won it in November. March is 4 months. Shorter compared to the other title reigns.
I see where you're going.
But do we potentially see? Because look, regardless of how Adam Cole has been presented from an in-ring standpoint, a record standpoint, the bottom line is the dude came in with one of the biggest pops you'll ever hear. The dude gets one of the biggest pops every week when his music hits. He's super over. Do we think there's a chance here that Adam Cole wins the title? Like, do we think that's a realistic possibility? Do we see our first kind of shorter AEW title reign with Hangman? And then, like, to me, that's a visual that ends the show. If you have Adam Cole and his buddies, the Undisputed Era, the Red Dragon and Adam Cole with all the gold again, which we hadn't seen. It's not like it's been super far since we've seen them with all the gold before somewhere else. And then, the Young Bucks are kind of in there. And I'm sure with the tag match that happens earlier, if the Young Bucks are involved, like we all think they're going to be, maybe there's a little bit of that. And then we see Kenny come back, and we got the Elite in the Undisputed Era, looking across from each other with the era with all the gold, and the Elite's like, this is our company. This is our company, guys. And maybe that is a big moment that gets people talking.
I really don't hate that. That's really
Again,
interesting.
I don't want to just dismiss Hangman and be like, oh, Hangman had the title, now he's gone, we're on to this, because I think Hangman deserves a little better than that. Well, but that, to me, if that's the visual ending the show, that's a pretty good visual.
And on top of that, we're going to be due for a Blood and Guts match soon, a War Games match, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And War Games was the Undisputed Era's thing in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And who would be the factions right now that you'd toss into a War Games match, right? It's like
Hardy Family Office.
Oh,
yeah, Hardy Family Office versus Team Taz.
Why did you bring your friend over, Joe?
I got to deal with him every week. This is once in a while for you. I got to deal with him every week.
But
did you mean to only send the invite to JPJ? Was
that'll be the next one.
And Joe says, "Well, I know this guy. He's we're teaching him how to be social." And but the chat, I started a poll earlier, and in the live chat says that 62% feel that Adam Cole is going to retain. And I feel it's like, I'm surprised.
Adam Cole's going to retain?
Sorry, Adam Page is going to retain.
Too many Adams.
By the way, this is the onset of the stroke. This is my long-term storytelling. On my, this is the onset of my stroke, FYI. But I feel it's low. Because it's interesting that we're thinking about it in this perspective. That because I would have felt like a Hangman Page landslide. So no, Page continues. It's too soon for Page, so on and so forth. But there are, Joe made a very compelling argument for a very compelling story moving forward. A little faction war, a little divisiveness, a little. You like that stuff, and I mean, here's a legitimate question: Is Adam Page? Here we go. Is he more compelling as a chase? Right?
I agree.
Like Dusty Rhodes. No one really cared for Dusty Rhodes as NWA champion. What people were invested in was Dusty Rhodes running after Harley Race, after Ric Flair. That's what people were excited about.
Yeah. And I think, and if we talk about Blood and Guts, like it's very easily, if you want to do Elite versus Cole in this group, I don't know who would end up being the other two. They usually do 5-on-5, but you could very easily give the Good Brothers a call and be like, hey, come fight with the Bucks and Kenny. 5. That's our 5.
Jay White.
And then, Jay White with Adam Cole. So that's 4. So then you just need really a 5th guy. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's Hangman down the line. Who the hell knows? Yeah, but it's possible, right? So Hangman and Omega, I don't think their feud just ended with Hangman. Like, you know what I mean? Like they have a history. Like it could be. Because I do agree with you. I do feel like AEW, when it comes to the pay-per-views, they know that their people are paying $50 or $60 to watch them. They usually have those big moments to end the shows. And I do think Adam Cole and Adam Page, like you said, Warren, the match alone could end up being that big moment, because with those two guys, they could have that caliber of a match. But if you're going to continue the trend of, hey, how do we get people talking about us leading into Dynamite next week? Well, that story, because when was the last time we saw Omega? He cut that little promo before Dynamite after he lost the title. He said, hey, I'm leaving this here with you. And Adam Cole was like, oh, no worries, I got you. And he was like, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the Bucks.
I'm talking to these.
Talking to the Bucks. Yeah. So we already, and that was like, all of us knew that's where they were going. Like eventually it's going to be Cole versus Omega, and that's what they're doing. Well, if Cole gets a victory and is the champion, Cole versus Omega, when Omega comes back, and then you add in the layer of Red Dragon there now and the Young Bucks, and that, I mean, it's a no-brainer of a story if they go that way,
So what happens? Who wins? This is the critical moment, guys.
I think I just talked myself into that story, so I'm going to go with Adam Cole, baby. That's what I'm gonna do.
Baby. I was leaning Adam Cole as well. I'm gonna roll with that. I just I think I think there's something endearing about Hangman not having a 2-year-long title run, right? I think that's what we love about him, the chase.
But do we want him to have a 4-month title run though?
You can't.
He could still lose at Double or Nothing 3 months from now and still be a short reign.
He could be the first 2-time.
He could be the first 2-time guy because
you can't always have 500-day title reigns. You got to throw some 4-monthers in there too. And Mick Foley, one of my favorites. I mean, he held the title for 28 total days. We don't ever, you know what I mean? And eventually, you'll just talk about him as a champ. So Adam Cole gets it done. I like your story, JPJ. You talked me into it. So
sorry,
I'm gonna hope that happens. If it doesn't happen,
do we think? But all right, so Warren, I know you're gonna give us your pick, but do we think it would be too soon, or is Adam Cole? Did he come over with enough gravitas of who he is that it doesn't? He's one of those guys that doesn't matter because he has been a world champion basically everywhere else he's ever been for the most part, multiple times, some places. So does he come in with that where like? Even though he's only been here for 6 months now or whatever, it's not too soon? Or do we feel like if he were to win, it would be too soon?
I'm very torn because I think both decisions have value. I really do think both decisions have value. It depends on what you do after. And I think that's what's critical. Because I think like my gut reflex is to say Hangman Page, it's too soon. It's his first pay-per-view defense. He cannot. He can't. But he also could. Because it makes perfect sense in an Adam Cole environment for him to lose the title on his first defense. Him being Adam Page, of course, losing his title on his first defense, and Adam Cole just suddenly out of nowhere is the champion. And maybe there's a lot of the booker in this saying, look, you guys think he sucks? You think he's no? Here, look. I just made him a champion. This is my company. These are my toys. Fuck you. You know?
Because I'm sure.
I don't want to say I know for a fact.
Yes, you do. You got it on the paper.
But I'm pretty sure AEW occasionally is booked in regards to how the community is reacting to certain things. And that's okay. Because you know what? That's what a booker should do. A booker should pay attention to what's going on, crowd reaction, so on and so forth, and pivot when necessary. He has to.
I agree.
Otherwise, you just nose up against the tree.
Or
you're trying to push
or you're a certain other companies that are like, we're not listening to you.
You want Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. Don't you know? Didn't you know that? That's the match you wanted, guys.
That's how it goes over there.
No. Oh, you wanted Becky and Ronda? No. What? No. You want Charlotte. You want Ronda. Those are your faves. Ronda Rousey, top babyface. Look at how happy she is to be here.
She gets babyface heat, which I've never seen before. I've never seen it done, so it's masterfully done. Don't knock it. Like, biggest babyface in the company, just getting heat. Like, good for her.
And I say that I'm a Charlotte fan. I love Charlotte Flair. I absolutely like I said earlier, people just don't like to get worked. They just don't like to get worked. And Charlotte is a master at that. Her booking works in her favor on that. I love Charlotte Flair. That's not my point. It's just her and Ronda in a main event WrestleMania match. No one wants that. No one wants that.
No. I know we're talking AEW, but I worry about that being the match that the crowd just hijacks and ruins at WrestleMania. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
The minute Ronda starts fucking up, they're done. They're toast.
Yep.
Save that for another prediction show.
I was gonna say, but anyway, who you picking, Warren?
Oh, I didn't pick.
No.
I know you said you were torn.
I'm gonna pick with Adam Page. I'm gonna stick with Adam Page because I think I love the Adam Page character. I think Adam Page, as character development goes, he walked so that MJF could run this past Wednesday. I think Adam Page introduced nuance in character development in wrestling, in AEW anyway. Introduced vulnerability as a driving factor in as character development. I think that, and I want more of that. I want more Adam Page because I think humans are relatable as opposed to, you know, Roman Reigns was not. Not a knock
That's
on
fair.
Roman. Roman is not relatable. He's not supposed to be. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, as far as, you know,
Yeah.
I think you should relate. You should be able to relate to pro wrestlers.
And Adam is gonna win, and that's all I know.
Yep.
Hey,
The best
Adam
Adam
wins
win, you know.
Look at
Yeah.
this, the safest bet.
Hey.
Look, Fence Straddler Pluggo.
Hey, you dubbed me Pluggo, so if you're gonna throw Fence Trail out there and it takes off, you gotta know what's gonna happen.
I'll own up to it. I'll own up to it.
Okay, all right.
But I will be disappointed. I'll tell you, I'll be disappointed if Fence Straddler Pluggo takes off before Dino 210. I swear that will disappoint me. That's really going to disappoint me.
We'll do our part to help Dino 210.
Oh yeah, I mean we gotta that we.
I legitimately almost fell out of my chair because I'd never heard that before.
It's fantastic.
Thank you very much, you guys, for joining me on this Sunday morning as we're recording this live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. But there's also some fantastic nonsense that happens over on Love Wrestling on their Twitch channel with these two boys here. Give us the plugs. Make it happen.
Yeah, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pluggo and I, we usually talk wrestling, things outside of wrestling. We try to have a lot of guests on. You might even see Warren pop in from time to time between two beards. So we have our own Twitter channel. It's at B2Beards. So give us a follow over there. Support Love Wrestling in general. We have a lot of good people doing a lot of good things besides us, but really just pay attention to us. Just pay attention. Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Yeah, do that. And like I said at the beginning, perfect lead into the Warren Hayes show. We usually run about an hour. Sometimes we go over, but if you're in a wrestling mood or you just want to shoot the shit in the chat and have a good time, hop on over to Love Wrestling at 8 on Thursdays, hang around with us for a little bit, and then you can transition over to the Mr. Warren Hayes shows. Pluggo and I usually after our show, that's what we do. Yeah, that's what Warren does when he's like, hey, whenever he has the time, he's like, I got some time, let me hop on, and then I'm going to go do my thing. And Pluggo and I usually end up in your chat after we get off the show anyway, so it's a perfect lead-in, you know? So
exactly.
Come follow us, give us a subscribe, give us some love.
Money to spend, you know?
Correct. It doesn't hurt for that too. No, I agree. It's a great lead, and never mind. Look what happens, right? Look at what happens. I just want to point this out. You know, you guys at 8 Eastern, me at 9, and look what happens. Impact Wrestling decides to counter program us. Then you got Jonathan Gresham deciding to pull Terminus. You know, this week they're afraid of us guys.
They are.
The
know. It's a
wrestling
juggernaut.
business is afraid of the three of us. I think it's clear.
100%.
They heard us.
They're like, that Thursday night over there, that Thursday night is a juggernaut. What can we do to at least try to make a dent in what they're doing over there?
Let's try. Let's not even go for the demo. Let's just try to take a chunk of the overall. So what if we get the 60 plus? It'll be fun.
Thank you for having us, Warren.
Well, no,
anytime.
Thank you guys for joining me. It was a lot of fun. It was a sweet ass time. Is that what
the kids are saying?
I think that's what the kids say.
Yeah, it was a slapper. It was a banger.
A banger.
It was a
banger. A slapper.
It was
the vibe. It was the vibe.
The vibe. That's one. That's one.
Please do follow these guys. Go check them out.
Give us some love.
Be a pal. Follow them. Thank you, both of you, for taking time out of your day and joining me today. I hope you guys and gals and non-binary pals all enjoy AEW Revolution, and I hope you had a lot of fun. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. That's always fun. We got a couple of those, and that's really cool. Otherwise, thank you all very much. Thank you for being with us. Have a great rest of whenever.